18 miles an hour for the third-gen Camaro. As this Camaro here over the rolling into the National Dragster Lane water box now is absolutely gorgeous. We're looking over this thing in the pits here the other day. The paintwork is immaculate. Got that big, tough-looking cowl scoop in the front of it. And it runs real good, too. It is a really, really good-looking piece. Lined up next to a Chevelle, another show-quality car. Got that nice stance set down over those big wheels. The Chevelle is running in our street race big block naturally aspirated class. I'm not sure which class the Camaro is running in. The diversity of equipment you'll see today, pretty much nothing like it. If you look at the two classic kind of Detroit muscle cars in the industry, Mercury Capri back there. I mean, there is something for everybody here. The Camaro sprinting down the National Dragster Lane goes 10:58 with a 2:136, 11:43 with a 1:118 in the Summit Lane. Monte Carlo SS, the Aero Coupe version. They didn't make too many of these things. Normally they have a flat piece of glass that goes straight down at the rear, but for NASCAR they had built a short run of these with an aerodynamic back window so they could modify their stock car bodies. You don't see a whole bunch of them around. This one actually has a blower and stuff on it. It runs down at 10. The 629 Ranch is right about there. 1038 with a 1:129, and the Monty goes 1052 with a 4 at 118 miles an hour. That old Mercury Capri that I was telling you about, a body style they seldom see anywhere, let alone on a drag strip, rolling up there in the National Dragster Lane. Lined up next to the early second-generation Camaro on the Summit side of the racetrack. So there are drivers from all over the country. We got guys from Western Canada, California, New England, you name it. We have people from guys from Australia. There are multiple Australian competitors, and it is about $9,000 each way to get your car from Australia to here before it turns a tire. 11:28, 8:120 in the Summit Lane, and the old Capri goes 12:75 with a 3 at 106 miles an hour. Stops the clock, 13:65, 300 miles an hour, 12:06, 9 with a 6, 116. Ray Myers and Clark Rossestengel come to the starting line. Clark and the Camaro we talked about earlier have been having some issues getting that chassis dialed in, and Ray Myers in his familiar primered nice wheel stand for Rossestengel. I've not seen the car Myers standing at the starting line cleaning a Barracuda, but Clark with the turbocharged engine. Got the pedal down, goes 9:57 with a 9, 141. I spoke to him yesterday. He almost gave up. The battery died on him. He said, I'm packing it in, I'm going, and he got talked out of it. And he stayed in, and he's going to be very happy that he did. That is the best run that car has made that I have seen, and I've been watching that thing run now for about 5 days on end. And he is goes 9:57.9. He'll be super, super happy with that. Head down the racetrack. The Cuda and the Nova, a good side-by-side drag race. 10 flat with a 4, 135 for the Cuda, for the Nova, 11:02.2, 123 for the Cuda on the far side of the racetrack. Something unique. We've been talking about unique stuff. How about this? It is a Triumph TR6 that has been stretched, and it has a turbocharged Pontiac engine making the power. This thing has run down in the low 9s. It ran in the low 9s yesterday at Beach Bend. The driver says that the car has gone into the 8s before. He also told us when he was leaving yesterday that second gear was about to be exiting stage left in the transmission. So he may be shifting this thing first to third. And this is what Drag Week is about. It becomes a survival contest. It's basically what I call it hot rodding's version of an untethered spacewalk. Because once you get a couple hundred miles from the starting point, you're on your own. I mean, you got your competitors, your fellow racers to help you, but if something happens, it's trying to figure out how to make Plan A work. Here comes the Triumph big top end charge. He goes 932 at 150. 932 at 150 in the Triumph. As the I figured it was in the other lane. I was too busy paying attention to the Triumph. The Mustang made a solid run down the Summit lane. Definitely one of the biggest and most powerful cars here is the 1971 Chevrolet Monte Carlo of Mike Roy. This thing has a twin turbocharged big block Chevrolet. Mike's car is a wheel standing 7-second performer. He pulled a monster wheel stand yesterday, had to pedal it. In doing so, he did not run a world-beating elapsed time, but boy, when you watch this thing go, it is like a battleship launching off the starting line. It weighs almost 4,000 pounds if it doesn't weigh a little more. Mike's got the car fully staged up. The tree comes down. He's going to spool the turbos. Again, a big wheel stand, and he is on a good wheel. The back of the thing walking around. It looks like he kept his foot down through it, though. 143 in the 8th mile. Mike Roy making big steam up top. Goes 786 with a 5 at 178 miles an hour. Mike Roy dive bombs the 7-second zone. 786.5, 178 in that Gigundo 1971 Monte Carlo. What a car that thing is. A gorgeous 1956 Chevrolet going to be coming up next. The Chevrolet waiting patiently for the swabbing of the deck to happen here in the Summit lane. Glenn Hunter, the owner and driver of the 1956 Bel Air. It's a big block Chevrolet with like the biggest whipple blower they make. You get over in the pits, you get a look at this thing. There is an iron lung bolted to the top of that motor, and it hauls the mail. All steel car. And it is the business. Little Dart Western Sports Special over there in the National Dragster lane. Kind of a special edition Dodge Dart from out in the West Coast. Great little car over there, runs well. The guy's been on drag week with it several times. The Dart is running in the street race small block naturally aspirated class, whereas Glenn is running in the Pro Street Power Adder category. To give you an idea, Pro Street Power Adder is like the one half a step down from Unlimited. Glenn Hunter to the wood goes 844 with a 3 at 160 miles an hour. And Hunter, a nice clean pass. The guys from New York hammering on the throttle. We haven't not seen the 55 yet. We were waiting to see the 55 with the Stickum Jobum transmission in it. We'll see that in a little while. The Pontiac getting the wheels run off it. This guy's made a bunch of runs in the GTO. It's Rich Pedraza, one of our California guys. Couple thousand miles he came just to start drag week. Then he's going to go another 1,000 plus in the Mustang, and then he's going to load his stuff up and tow it all the way back uphill to California. Only off by a thousandth of a second. 085 to 086 as both guys head down to the top end of the racetrack. It is a 10:54 with a 2 at 130 miles an hour. 11:35 of the 7, 117 in the National Dragster lane. Talk about a sleepy little car. Keep your eyes glued to the Chevy 2 in the Summit lane, the right-hand side, the tower side of the racetrack. Doesn't look like a whole bunch, but it's running the modified Power Adder class, and it is a wolf in sheep's clothing, totally. Very small tire on it, and it is very pissed. Oh, man. He bumped to the rear end. You can see that thing is really jacked up. The back of the thing walking around. He gave it the business. He had the thing set on the hill. Once again, proof of how much traction we have out here. 1091 with an 8-122. The rear end in that thing is absolutely grenaded. You saw the back of the car wobbling, walking around. So keep your eyes peeled. You can help a racer out. I have a feeling I'm going to be hearing from him in a few minutes.
Hey, it's Freiberger from Hot Rod here, reminding you to go check out all the other coverage that we've got going on all around Drag Week 2013. You want to check out Hot Rod Mag on Facebook, on Instagram. You want to look for the hashtag Drag Week 2013. And of course, you're going to want to check out hotrod.com, where we've got photo galleries, results, and news all day long. Check it out.
Groove, and I'm hoping we don't have to make a full-length mop job, and I'm sure Jeff is, and his staff are hoping the same thing. A reminder, if you sense any type of problem with your vehicle, whatever lane you're in, you pull in a controlled manner towards the wall and then come to a controlled stop. Anytime that you sense there's any problem, we'd much rather wait for you to get the thing stopped and look than to take a chance and roll the length of the racetrack, well, for lack of a better term, barfing down there. So thanks all of you to come out today to hang out with us at Hot Rod Magazine Drag Week 2013, brought to you by the fine people at Gear Vendors and at Pep Boys Speed Shop. It is great to see so many people in the grandstands hanging out. This event has certainly taken on a life of its own over the years. And like I said before, growing from a mere 41 participants in 2005, and I will tell you what, those are 41 fearful-looking dudes. We pulled out at Kansas City International Raceway on a Monday morning with everybody looking at each other, kind of thinking, what happens next? And at the time, nobody knew what happened next because nobody had ever done something this dumb before. And it turns out we like doing dumb stuff, and we continue to. And next year will be the 10th time we've run through this thing. This event has visited dozens of racetracks over the years. It has been at different parts of the country, typically trying to keep things in the middle kind of section, or the middle quadrant of the country, if you will. But it's been all over the place, and I know David and the Hot Rod staff are working on some ideas for next year to make that 10th running of Hot Rod Magazine Drag Week super special. So the mop job nearly completed. The tractor out there with the tire drag down. Of course, just a couple weeks back, the U.S. Nationals were held here at Lucas Oil Raceway, as they have been since, I believe, every year since, I think it's 1961. This facility opened in 60, I believe. So it's either the U.S. Nationals has been held here every year since 60 or 61. And it is probably one of the, if not the most significant drag strip in the world just because of that. That is the ultimate drag race. It is the gold standard, and it is, of course, the race that if you do nothing else in your drag racing career but win Indy, you can still say you won Indy. So our competitors are certainly grateful, and we're grateful as a organization to be here because it is such a cool historic place and a magnificent facility. And over the years, we have seen places to the caliber of Lucas Oil Raceway, and we have seen places to the caliber of not Lucas Oil Raceway, not even the return road, Lucas Oil Raceway. We prefer this better. So a lot of billboards around here. We saw the billboards for the, I think it was like the 50 location Red Liquor store. They have like an empire of liquor stores apparently around this area. We were coming up with some creative slogans, which I don't think we can share. Due to FCC regulations, we're not allowed to share any of those things, but yeah. Always cool. The coolest part of Drag Week in my mind is the kind of cruise when we get off in the afternoon and
you start driving somewhere at 2 o'clock and you end up getting there at midnight somehow, and it's only 300 miles. But we do not take the direct route anywhere. One of the great parts of this event is the fact that we get to go out there and we get to see a lot of the country, see a lot of small towns. I'm telling you what, you get the first couple of cars get through a town, and next thing you know, the whole deal's on the sidewalk, and it's basically like a big parade. So if you ever considered coming out to the event, there's a class for everybody. Really, from daily driver, that we have cars that can only go as quick as 1080 in daily driver, all the way through our modified and unlimited categories. You know, there's a place for everybody at this race, and you don't have to be showing up here with a crazy, tube chassis car trying to run 6s. You can be coming out here in a mildly modified hot rod that runs in the 13s, 12s, or in the high 10s, and you can have a place in daily driver. The interesting thing about daily driver is on Friday, when we get back to Beach Bend, the daily driver, the top 32 quickest qualifiers will be engaged in a bracket race at Beach Bend Raceway on Friday when we get back there. So there's a little something for everybody on Drag Week, and then there's a little something for everybody, and there's a lot of work for everybody. And just because you're not driving a 6-second car doesn't mean you're not working exceptionally hard to keep it running to the end of the event.
Hey, it's Freiberger from Hot Rod here, reminding you to go check out all the other coverage that we've got going on all around Drag Week 2013. You want to check out Hot Rod Mag on Facebook, on Instagram. You want to look for the hashtag Drag Week 2013. And of course, you're going to want to check out hotrod.com, where we've got photo galleries, results, and news all day long. Check it out.
Yesterday was probably, in terms of
all-out performance, the most spectacular day in the 9-year history of the event. And again, I said this a little bit earlier, but I will recap in the fact that two of our unlimited competitors, it was Dave Ahokas and it was Tom Bailey. Ahokas, both of them driving Camaros, both of them driving tube-frame Camaros with turbocharged engines. The standing Drag Week record up until yesterday was 694, set by Larry Larson at Tulsa last year. The mile-an-hour record was 212, as set by Jeff Larson at Gillum, Louisiana last year. Well, in two fell swoops, I should say, Dave Ahokas went out and went 683, becoming the quickest man in Drag Week history. And then Tom Bailey came out, and he went 672 at 214 miles an hour, becoming both the quickest and fastest man in Drag Week history. Now, Andy Frost over in England last weekend ran 640 in a street-legal car called the Red Victor. And for a decade plus probably, Frost has had a significant, let's say, a lapse time advantage over our fastest kind of streetcar guys here in the United States. And that gap, by the end of Drag Week, by the beginning of Drag Week, had begun to evaporate, and by the end of yesterday, had closed to a very significant margin. So Frost is at 640, and our boys here in the States are down in the low 670s. So we're coming. Tom Hogshead, a 632 cubic inch big box Chevrolet powering that Nova, goes 1053 with a 5, 129. Good look at Mercury. Cougar goes 1334 with a 4 at 103. Boy, one of my favorite cars on the whole event down here in the Summit Lane. This is an AMC Javelin powered by a 401 cube, pretty serious AMC engine. Listen to it, sounds like a buzzsaw. Tony does his burnout and moves towards the starting line. Tony, unfortunately, last year, I think he only made it a day before everything went sideways for him, and he took himself out of competition with a broken car. But obviously has exceeded that this year, and this thing runs down in the 10s. It is a stout running machine. You can see I believe that's like the Mark Donahue style little duckbill deal on there. Lots of people here this morning, and we are glad to have you. Those of you that bailed out of work, even better. Tuesday morning at the track, we have to do this every week. Tony takes off for the AMC, 101 in the 8th mile, got the hammer down, the 401 screaming, goes 10:61 with a 7 at 125 miles per hour. Speaking of impressive iron, here comes Bryant Goldstone. Goldstone in the National Dragster lane in that silver Chevelle. This car ran deep into the 7s yesterday. It is a steel Chevelle. It is a showpiece, and it is an amazingly powerful machine. Actually, I think he ran, was it 810 or something like that? He was somewhere around the low 8s, somewhere in that zone. I had him confused with somebody else. So Goldstone, ooh, look there. Dave Ahokas is in the staging lanes. Ahokas in the Unlimited Camaro from Texas will be coming up in a few pairs. So a great side-by-side deal here. We got Mike Crow going to get his lunch eaten for him by Goldstone. Let's see where Brian ends up. Picture perfect launch. Carries the front end, dances the tires, and he is gone. 138 in the 8th mile. Brian Goldstone goes 8:07 with a 5 at 172 miles an hour as Mike Crow goes 10:23 with 0 at 133.
So Goldstone picks up a little offer yesterday, looking real good.
And Doc Fox comes up now. Doc Fox in his drop-top Corvette. It's cool to see him mogating down the highway with his trailer behind him. Fox straps the roof of the car onto the top of his trailer and they head down the highway. It's really something to see. People, every time you see someone go by and they whip out their camera phone, they're taking photos. And Doc Fox headed down the National Dragster lane at 10:19 with a 3:131. And now the high drama begins. Here comes Dave Ahokas from Texas. It was Ahokas who ran 6:83 yesterday. To go a little bit farther back than that, on Saturday at LS Fest, at the LS Fest in Bowling Green, he ran 6:87. He came back the next day, went 6:94 in the morning, and he followed that up with a 6:83 the other day. So consistency has become a part of the Ahokas program. And now they're backing the car out and down the driveway. I'm not sure what's going on with that, or if they're going to, okay, they're just going to put more water in the water box and have them come through again and heat the tires one more time. So if you can imagine spending 5 days driving that thing down the highways and byways of the Midwest. One of those things that sounds real cool at first, and then you try to do it, and it's like living in a torture chamber. Okay, Ahokas completes a nice burnout there. Good smoke. Pretty controlled situation, stayed right in the middle of the groove. He's going to get the reverse gear engaged and come back to the starting line. This is a Jerry Bickle built Pro Mod that has a VIN number somehow. I know where I come from, I would not be able to do that, but things are different in Texas. So Ahokas got a VIN number for this deal. It's registered, it's insured, it's got a plate on it. And it is a bona fide 6-second street legal car. Can he outdo a 672 from Tom Bailey? Will he just try to repeat in the 680s? All those questions remain to be answered, but they will be right about now. Gonna spool the turbo. And here he goes. The car was extremely soft out of the hole, 143 in the 8th mile as Dave Ahokas goes 797.6, 183. Something I missed there on the launch is the thing was super soft. It was, well, it was 121 to 60 feet, which isn't too soft, but it just did not leave the starting line. That car was 110, 113 yesterday. So they'll get back there and take a look-see in the pits, work on the old tuner-upper, come on back and see us. I'm sure he will not stand on that 797, but you never know. This 55 Chevrolet got a big block and a stick shift in it, and he winds it up like an 8-day clock over there in the National Dragster lane. Listen to this thing come off the starting line and listen to him rip through the gears. It is a great car, and that big Pontiac also very cool. The Grand Prix on the Summit side of the racetrack. All racers, you must turn left at the end of the drag strip. You cannot, We have cones down there. They're not there for decoration. They're actually there to stop you from turning to the right, but they didn't slow Dave Ahokas down. So we're going to stop for a minute here. You must turn left at the end of the drag strip and come up the return road on the far side of the strip from the tower. So all racers, it is a left-hand turn at the end of the racetrack. No more cone bowling, please. Okay, so we have located Dave Ahokas, got him out of the way, and now we're going to go back to racing. Again, big block stick shift car over there in the National Dragster lane. But the big Pontiac pulling away from the shoebox to the top end, 10.06 with a 6, 133, as the shoebox goes 11.01 with a 0 at 124 miles an hour. Chevy Nova and the Chevelle coming up now to the starting line. Nova's got the parachute hanging off the back. Should see a number out of him. Chevelle waiting patiently, fully staged. The Nova with the chute pack on the back. Stages, the tree comes down, and they are blocked. 8-mile lead for Nova, 552 with a 5.133. He goes down 8.49 with a 9 at 161 miles an hour. Chute equipped, got good brakes, did not have to pull the chute. Nice long shutdown area here at Indy. Of course, we got that big giant catch trap down there at the top end. Our goal is not to get anybody in that thing. As a driver, the Corvette, the far side of the racetrack, purges the nitrous up over the roof. NOS is our nitrous sponsor here for Drag Week, and NOS supplies the nitrous for the nitrous racers. You get a couple bottles a week, or if Monty's in a giving mood, more than that. But Monty Smith is here with NOS. NOS is a great part of the Hawley family of companies, and such a cool deal for them to sponsor the nitrous racers. The nitrous racers, like giving them free nitrous all week. Daily drivers, you will run at 10 a.m. That's about 10 minutes away. We'll start pulling you out of the lanes at 10 a.m. Those of you watching on the live feed, welcome to Indianapolis, or rather Lucas Oil Raceway, here outside of Indianapolis, Indiana. The live feed brought to you by the Pep Boys Speed Shop, as we are paying attention here to Hot Rod Magazine Drag Week 2013, brought to you by Gear Vendors and the Pep Boys Speed Shop. And Tom Bailey has pulled around the corner in the quickest and fastest machine in the history of Drag Week. We sent our KGB level spies after Tom Bailey yesterday to make sure there was no trickery or tomfoolery afoot, and he came through with flying colors. We actually have people along the route, I don't want to say hidden, but positioned, let's say, to keep an eye on people because we want to keep everybody honest. The big hook in Drag Week is that you cannot put your car on a trailer. And in the history of Drag Week, there has been but one guy, one dude, caught red-handed putting his stuff in a trailer. We won't go down that road. But Tom Bailey was not that guy. Made the drive perfectly yesterday, buzzing down the highway about 75 miles an hour in this thing. You see Steve Morris. Morris is his co-pilot, and Morris is the engine builder for this car. There is video on the internet of this engine, or this Camaro, making 2,200 horsepower at the tire. That is freaking nuts, for lack of a better term. And the Mustang scampers away from the starting line. Here comes the S10 Chevy pickup. This is time to pull the turbo up. And the S10. You may be wondering why these guys are sitting on the starting line. Well, we're not running a heads-up race here. We're not penalizing anybody for having a bad reaction time. The point of the exercise is to get the quickest run you can, turn in your quickest time slip, and move on to the next racetrack. as far as turning in the quickest time slips. No one in the history of the event has ever turned in one as quick as Tom Bailey did yesterday. This car has a history with Hot Rod Magazine Drag Week. It was initially built and called Project 6 Seconds. At the time, it had a pro-charged engine in it. And after a couple of attempts, the car was never really able to do what they wanted it to do, and the previous owners sold it. Tom Bailey was the buyer. Bailey got rid of the pro-charge situation and went to the Steve Morris twin turbo mill. As he completes his burnout, rolls out to about 150 feet and comes back towards the starting line. I don't know about everybody else, but I am sitting here on pins and needles because I think very highly, I think there's a very high probability that we could see an absolute cannon shot of a run out of this car this morning. The racetrack looks exceptional. I know Jeff and the guys have worked on it very hard, and the starting line has proven itself to be very grippy. Go ahead and just ask Sean Fink about that. He about put that Nova up over backwards on a giant wheel stand. You won't see a giant wheel stand here, maybe just a little when the weight transfers to the rear tires. You see that the wheelie bars on Bailey's car are pretty well locked down. So Tom Bailey has pre-staged the Camaro. Fully staged, he's going to get the turbos spooled up and launch on out of here. Here he goes, kids. Stand up and watch this. Tom Bailey, 170 in the 8th mile. Tom Bailey, 670 with a 9 at 213 miles an hour. Oh, baby, 670 with a 9 at 213. You have got to be freaking kidding me. Wow, 670 with 9, the quickest pass in the history of Drag Week. Right in front of your very eyes. And Steve Morris takes a deep breath and heads back towards the impound area. Yes, take a bow for that one, my man. The adventure continues. They will, I assume, they're going to pack up and get ready to make an exit onto the next racetrack. And quick nod from Steve. Confirm my suspicion. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. 115 to 60 feet. 441 at 170 in the 8th mile. 670 with a 9 at 213 through the traps. And there is not a guy with a bigger permagrin on his face right now than Tom Bailey down there at the top end of the racetrack. Wow. So down the top of the racetrack, 1041 with a 9, 130. So the S10 Blazer heads down the National Dragster lane, 950 with a 6, 141. 018 reaction time on the summit side of the racetrack. He goes down 1172 with a 4 at 113 miles an hour. Daily driver competitors, we're going to start bleeding you into the deal here in about 5 minutes. Daily driver racers, you'll be part of the program in 5 minutes. If you're in the staging lanes and you have abandoned your vehicle, get back to it. Get back to your vehicle. If you're in the staging lanes, daily driver, you're going to be getting suited up and rolling around the corner right quick. So Danny Morrison coming up now in the Impala SS here in the Summit Lane. That well-worn little Chevy 2 Nova on the National Dragster side of the racetrack. Good-looking the good-looking car. I dig that thing. It just looks. There's a lot of cars, or several cars at Daily Driver that have that same kind of look, which is way cool. Barn-found appearance. Runs like a steer on fire. 069 reaction time. The Nova gets off the starting line. Through the H at 123. The Nova breathing heavy at the top end. Goes 9 flat with a 9 at 155 miles an hour. Morrison goes 1382 with a 6 at 96. So we got Rick Prospero coming up. Prospero in that great-looking Nova wagon. Prospero going to line up next to the Buick GS. With this racetrack and the amount of grip we have out here in the starting line, pay attention to Prospero's wagon when he comes up. There goes Tom Bailey back to the pits, cool as a cucumber after running 670 with a 9. When Prospero comes off the starting line, if everything goes right for him, those front tires are just going to skitter along the pavement. Watch this. There it goes. Barely touching those front tires, just kind of hovering those front tires off the pavement. 146 in the 8th mile. He goes 795 with a 5 at 179 miles an hour in the Nova wagon. Rick Prospero punches his way into the 7s. I do not believe he ran 7s yesterday. A great pass for Prospero. 795 with a 5. Yeah. Our gasser category here is filled with some of the coolest cars in Drag Week, this being one of them. 1955 Chevrolet. It's got a lace paint job on the roof. It's got a bunch of like old school kind of holes drilled in the bumper to lighten it up. Straight axle, nose high stance. Everything is good, and Prospero went to the right. You have to go to the left at the top end of the racetrack. At the top end of the racetrack, you have to turn left. So Rick Prospero is in no man's land out there on the right-hand side. You got to go left at the end of the racetrack. Boys and girls, left-hand turn only in the top end. The 55 Chevy Gasser, reminiscent of something you would have seen in C and D gas back in the day, goes 1055 and 8, 125 miles an hour. Great looking Plymouth Satellite going to line up on the National Dragster side of the strip next to the fairly nondescript little Chevy Malibu here in the Summit Lane. So just going to take us a second here, get everybody herded up and headed in the right direction. There's a little bit of spray in the starting line there. Again, it's all about the maintenance, and you see just how concerned, how attentive the guys in the starting line are being out there, because what happens is you get a little problem, start to grow into a big problem, and then the starting line goes away. But these guys have maintained what I would say, well, historically speaking, it is the best starting line in the history of Drag Week, and here's why we can say that, because the quickest pass in the history of Drag Week was made here just a few minutes ago. So by proxy of that, this is officially the best track we've ever run on. So lots of racers here coming into the room next to me. They don't have to be subjected to my dulcet tones today when they drop off their time slips. They put a protective wall between me and everybody else today. So that's it. You guys are good. So the Chrysler Sonic lining up over the National Dragster lane, and the Malibu sitting here on the Summit side of the racetrack. Malibu fully staged now. The Plymouth Satellite, tickle the beams, go in. Better reaction time when it's the Malibu, but the big Chrysler, 4 O's under the hood. As the Satellite going to get to the strike first, he goes 10.96 with a 3 at 107 miles an hour. The Malibu goes 11.73 with a 2 at the top end. You see Rick Prospero and that great looking 55 Chevy Gasser coming on up the return road. Beam axle, not the most comfortable riding situation in the world, but I'm sure it goes down the road nicely and goes down the racetrack great too. And the Chevy Nova, small tire Nova coming up to the Summit lane. It's like something you'd see at the old cornfield drag races on a Friday night, somewhere out in the backwoods. And this is a good looking car. Let's see how quick it is. Oh yeah, hikes the front end up. 151 to 60 feet. And the Emerald Green Nova, 96 through the 8th mile. 11.06 to the 6, 119 miles per hour. So again, continuing to make sure the track staff stays vigilant on the starting line. They're constantly working out there with the blower and the mops and spray. Our daily driver class coming around the corner now. You want to talk about some cool stuff. You'll see literally everything you can dream of in here. Guys going as quick as 1080. You can't go quicker than 1080 in daily driver. And we'll have a pretty decent spread. You'll see some guys running the 13s, some guys running down to the high 10s. But every single one of these cars has, or trucks as it is, has a personality all of its own. Now, that doesn't mean, since we're in daily driver, that you won't see any unlimited machines or any of our other, power adder classes or pro street classes, any of that stuff. They can jump in when they want to, but our daily driver guys have just as much right to the racetrack as everybody else, so they're getting their hits in now. Well, 410 Chevy Camaro lined up next to the half-ton Chevy pickup in the National Dragster lane. All right, we got a racer looking for parts here. Keith Harrison with that 55 Chevrolet Gasser has a broken coilover shock. You have a spare coilover, and I know you do out there somewhere. I'm looking at you, everyone. Broken coilover shock at the pits. Keith Harrison needs one. It's a 55 Chevy Gasser. Meet Keith in the pits at the car. You can't miss it. It's got the front end that's about 6 feet in the air. Go find Keith, give him a shock, and he will be back in business. Fox Body Mustang. You got a coilover shock, Finnegan. I know you do, man. Why are you holding out on us? You can hear me. You can read my lips. Ready? Watch this. I just said a horrible thing to him. Horrible thing. Red light start for the Fox Body Mustang in the Summit Lane. First gen Camaro got its legs under at about the 8th mile, and the Camaro just going to pull away from the Fox Body Mustang. 1191, 5, 112, 1309 with a 5 at 103 in the Summit Lane. Late model Pontiac GTL lining up next to the nitrous injected 4th gen Pontiac Firebird. You just saw the nitrous purge out there just in front of the cowl of the windshield for the Pontiac. Or I should say for the Firebird, considering they're both Pontiacs. So once again, those of you watching on the World Wide Web, thanks for tuning in. Checking out Drag Week. Our goal this week with the live feed was just to absolutely annihilate workplace productivity all across the country and the world. So if you got your door locked or your shade pulled in your office deal, or you got your headphones on in the cubicle, whatever it is, thanks for tuning in and thanks for sticking it to the man. Dodge Dart GTS here in the Summit Lane. I believe this thing has a 383 in it, got a set of drag radials on the back, lined up next to the 4th gen Camaro. Very clean Chrysler product. There's a bunch of really cool Mopars in our daily driver category. Better reaction time went to the darn with those red tail stripes on it. And the GTS goes through the Summit Lane, 1193 with a 0, 113. 1254 with a 7, 108 on the left side of the racetrack. All right, so it is the Malibu station wagon going to line up next to that silver Chevy Nova. 80s Malibu wagon, rally style wheels with the chrome center caps on them, cowl hood scoop, pretty unassuming looking piece. Nova, pretty classic look there. Small tire on the back of it, no wheel tubs for him. And they're working through our daily drivers here as they get their first hit of the day on the racetrack. All right, great looking Roadrunner going to pull up next to the Fox Body Mustang. Roadrunner with the, again, we call it poverty caps. Yesterday I was cracking people up. Yeah, the poverty cap style center caps, steel wheels, a nice dark paint job. Sherwood's got a big block in it. It's running well, running away from the Fox Body anyway. And the Roadrunner goes 11:53 with a 9, 118 miles an hour, 12:66 with a 2, 106 in the National Dragster lane. Now the GTO and the Corvette take off. Better reaction time left with the Corvette. Although the GTO without first couple of gear changes, GTO had to leave with the Corvette. Going to run around him at the top end. The Vette goes 11:11 with a, or 11:71 with a 7, 126 miles an hour. 11:88 with a 0 at 116 over the Summit lane. Paranovas put a 70 over there in the National Dragster lane and a 75, 76 Disco Aero piece here in the Summit lane. So the more classic Nova style in the National Dragster lane, that thing logged down pretty hard to watch. Stick shift cars to the right of the driver making the shift. Summit side of the racetrack, Disco car going right down Broadway, 11:77, 9, 115. And the Corvair coming up. This Corvair is an LS engine that's been mounted in the front. It is no longer a rear engine piece, and it is no longer powered by a flat 6-cylinder air-cooled engine. This is a LS-style motor in the front. He competed at LS Fest all weekend, and now he's hammering on it here. There should be another Corvair. We'll see a Corvair wagon as well with a pretty close to the same setup. But what a great-looking car with basically the style of paint job that would have been found on that 69 Camaro pace car. White and the orange stripes. 1091 with a 5, 128 for the Corvair. 1219 with a 9, 113 over the National Dragster lane for the Chevy 2. A whole bunch of Jeep coming up here. A big Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT8. This is like a 6,000-pound battleship of a truck lined up next to that 4th-gen Chevy Camaro, the National Dragster side. The Jeep takes off. 0:35 reaction time. The guy sprayed the rim. 4th-gen Camaro looking at the back end of the Jeep right now as they get to the 8th mile. Now down towards 1,000 feet. The Camaro trying to make up some ground, but the Jeep hustles down there first on the whole shot. 12:24, 8, 111. The Camaro goes a quicker 11:64, but the Jeep got to the finish line first because of a massive starting line disparity. Mercury Cougar in the National Dragster lane, lined up next to the S10 Chevy pickup. Factory body kit on it. Good even drag race to 1,000 feet. The pickup truck's going to have it up though. 12:14 with a 5.112 as the Mercury goes 12:44 with a 3 at 108 miles per hour. Here comes Bob Perrin from New York in a 1956 Chevrolet that gets driven and beaten mercilessly. Perrin has taken this thing on Drag Week a bunch of times. He races it at the Standing Mile in Wilmington, Ohio. He takes it on the Power Tour every year. The car gets driven thousands and thousands of miles. He drives the thing so much, he actually swaps transmissions for certain events. He'll put the stick shift in it to do some stuff. He'll leave the automatic in it to do other stuff. It has a 421 cubic inch Chevrolet small block in it. It is a nice car, good roll cage in it, and Bob spends a lot of time behind the wheel of this thing. Plymouth Barracuda on the National Dragster Lane. And boy, the Plymouth Barracuda was certainly a central part of the U.S. Nationals that happened here a few weeks ago with the Mopar Heavy Shootout. The great race that takes place in all the Superstock 8 Heavy machines every year here at the U.S. Nationals. And Bob Perrin's 56 Chevrolet gets to the finish line first. A 001 reaction time for Bob Perrin. Yeah. Bob slaying the tree out there. 1177.8, 113, 1173.9, 116 of the National Dragster side of things. 1932, I believe it's a 32 Ford Roadster over there in the National Dragster Lane. Classic paint job with a fire on it, with the Rocket Racing wheels on all four corners. Take it on the Eagle Talon here in the Summit Lane, little 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. These are 2-liter inline 4 engines in these cars, so 120 cubic inches. The all-wheel drive provides obviously good grip. You saw the thing grip so hard and bogged down. Motor wound up and get that turbo cooled and start making some steam. The Hot Rod not impressed with the little 4-cylinder turbo deal. The Hot Rod goes 12.39 to 110. The Talon goes 13.19 with a 3 at 108 miles per hour. Heads down the National Dragster Lane. Not going to be able to close the gap. 10.91.5, 121. Challenger goes 12.21 with a 12.22 with a 1 at 1:15. And the thunder you just heard from the starting line, that is Scott Smith in a 1979 Chevy Malibu. I cannot remember what Smith ran yesterday. He is competing in our Super Street Power Adder category. And Super Street Power Adder is one of our big boy classes, as you can imagine. No trouble getting around the side of the Dodge Shadow. 135 in the 8th mile, and Smith gets the shootout. He goes through 879 with a 4 at only 130. He had the laundry out at about 1,000 feet. The chute blossomed as he went through the timing lights at the top end of the racetrack. Went 154 to 60 feet, then it really picked up. 563, 135 at the 8th. He went through the finish line 5 miles an hour slower than he went through the 8th mile. I want to talk about a cool reason to skip out of school. The girl driving the Camaro in the National Dragster Lane is 16 years old. This is a car she has put together herself with her family. She's been working on it. She is driving it all this week. Been running down. I believe she ran down in the 13s, maybe even to the 12s yesterday. Doing a great job. The Mustang notchback, or the Mustang Mustang, I should say, in the Summit Lane will have no problem running away from the Camaro. The Mustang goes 992 with a 3, 137. 12.68 with a 3 at 110 for the Camaro. Here comes the Camaro owned by Todd Maschmeyer and driven by Travis Gilpin. These guys hail from the Illinois area. I'm sorry, the Missouri. They're in Missouri, actually. My apologies. As Maschmeyer, the owner of the car, is going to guide Travis into the stage beams. The nitrous inhaling big block engine in this car. They are trying. Last year, these guys had a disastrous trip. This year, they're trying to have a good go at it. Got the full bore exhaust. Whoa! Oh man, that thing trying to make a move to the center line. Travis going to get out of it and over towards the wall. Something going askew for him. He rolls to the top end, 11.05 with a 3, 110 miles an hour. The car came out of the hole pretty hard. 130 in the short time, but by the time it got to 300 feet, it was right up on the center line. Travis lifted out of it and rolled it down to the top end. We're going to take a look at that left lane, see if there's anything down there. So here comes John Huber in the Summit Lane. Huber has a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine in the Mustang. It pulls some great wheel stands when it has the traction. And so far this morning, this place has proven that we have the traction. We have the technology. The orange Camaro on the National Dragster side of the racetrack is extremely quick. Turbocharged engine, both guys pulling up and going. Huber taking his time. Comes off the starting line very soft. Hopefully nothing too skew with Huber there. The Camaro goes 233 with a 3.163. Huber's car kind of came to life at 300 feet. Motors down, goes 11.06 with a 6 at 143 miles an hour. A little bit of a, yeah. One of these things is not like the other. Hopefully Huber can get that thing back and get it off the starting line the way it should leave, but a very impressive car to watch. It's a little 4-cylinder Ford engine in there with a big honking turbo on it. Fairlane with a Cleveland on it. And here comes Scott Smith back up the return road in that great-looking 1979 Malibu. That thing is vicious, and I'm sure he will be back out on the racetrack again. Speaking of 4-cylinders, a little front-wheel drive job right now. It is the Omni GLH here on the Summit side of the racetrack. It's a Carroll Shelby project with pricing. They tuned it, full turbo. It was like a 2.2 or something turbo engine in it. But when they ran really good. When they ran. 1163 with a 9 at 115 miles an hour. The big Buick goes 1242 with a 1 over the National Dragster side of the course. Generation Camaro going to outrun the Oldsmobile. We were playing hopscotch with this Oldsmobile during the drive yesterday. They were past us, we'd past them. Olds goes 1256 with a 306, 1104 with a 5 at 125. To give you an idea of the seriousness of the checkpoints, yesterday we stopped at the world's largest rocking chair. Was that checkpoint, which actually is kind of an impressive creation. They built the thing out of like cut down telephone poles. I mean, it is not going anywhere. It'd make for a heck of a bonfire, I think. Olds Cutlass taking on the 3rd gen Pontiac Trans Am. I'm not sure if that's a Turbo 6 or if it is a engine there. Looks like 2 of our daily driver competitors. 1178 with an 8, 114 miles an hour on the Summit side. 1207 with a 5, 110 on the National Dragster side of the racetrack. Looks like we got the pickup truck squad getting ready to run down the left lane. Got 3 of them stacked up here in a row. This little Chevy 3100 is a good runner, lined up next to the fairly unassuming looking Crown Vic. And if my memory serves correct, it's going to run like an unassuming looking Crown Vic. I don't think there's any hidden surprises there. Gary Hart comes up the starting line of his truck. This thing has a 302 cubic inch GMC Jimmy 6 with a blower on it. And just a neat old truck over there. Looks like it literally came out of a barn yesterday. 1302 with an 8 in the Summit lane, and Gary Hart's truck goes 1610 at 70 miles an hour. So we have an impound area, which I did not describe yet. So keep correcting this picture. We have an impound area at Drag Week. What that is we randomly select. Winkety wink. We randomly select a couple of people each day and put an impound. And what it means is we kind of isolate them from everybody, and it's a way for us to verify that they're not receiving any help or any outside assistance from forces that they shouldn't. And we don't necessarily believe they are, but we like keeping everybody honest. And when we have this machine, this random generator machine that spits out a name, and that machine is normally Keith Turk's brain, and then we pick those people. And you can come check them out. They're set up right behind the timing tower, and typically it's some of our faster stuff. Joe Barry's back there, Sean Fink's back there, and Tom Bailey is back there, of course. So you can see if you can rub up on Tom Bailey's car and get a little taste of speed. So it is the Starsky and Hutch mobile. Yes, it is. Except Starsky and Hutch did not have a 580-some cubic inch Jack Roush built big block Ford in the front of their car. They had a wheezing like 150 horse, like 351M in that thing or something, or a little 302. And again, we got the Starsky and Hutch deal. We got a 79 Honda Civic about to roll in through the water box. Next to him is a tunnel-rammed Boss 302 powered Maverick with a 4-speed or a 5-speed. That's what this is about. Variety is the spice of life type deal. So the Torino with a big block trying to put a nose in the Camaro, and he will. 1206 with a 1-1-12. The Camaro goes 12-12 with a 9 at 112 miles an hour. This little Civic, and I don't speak too much Honda, but this little Civic has a JDM, meaning a Japanese domestic manufacturer engine that shipped over from Japan, 4-cylinder turbo engine, and he's lining up next to the Maverick with a 4-speed 302. That thing goes to drivers and he revs the thing about 72, 7400 between shifts. It sounds great, but look at the little Civic. Goes down 1265 with a 7, 114 miles an hour. 1403 with a 6 at 97. The most comical thing about the Civic is he pulls a trailer with it, and as small as everybody else's trailer is, his looks like a dollhouse on wheels. I don't even know what fits in the thing, but he's got a little tiny trailer he pulls behind the car. Corvair station wagon. This one packs an LS power up front. It is not the flat 6 hidden below the cargo area of the wagon. 1295 with an 8 at 102 miles an hour for the Corvair wagon. 1364 with a 5 at 102 in the Summit lane. We're joking up here that we could call that a Commodore SS because basically down in the country of Australia, that's what that car was, but it's a Pontiac G8 here and a wonderfully ratty 1965 Chevy Impala headed down. Another one of those cars I love. I sincerely love the look of the pattern exterior, I should say, with the steel wheels. Good running piece with a 4-speed. As the G8 goes 1169 with a 7, 119, and the Big Impy goes 1227 with a 7, 1327 with a 7 at 105. Gotta love that big green Monte Carlo there in the National Dragster lane. The green top and the green body. He said yesterday there was probably a period of about 15 years that no one in their mind would have restored a car and done the green on green, but that seems to be back into vogue now. So 1298 with an 8, 108 for the giant green Monte Carlo, 1705 with a 9 at 80 for the Mercury Cougar. So great looking Chevy Nova, all kind of decaled up like an old stock Eliminator car or something over there in the National Dragster lane. Look at the parade coming up the return road too of our daily driver competitors that have got their time tickets coming back up this way. They're orange and white 1965 Chevy pickup. Both these guys running the daily driver heads to the top end. 1166 with the 2120. The pickup goes 1232 with a 1 at 110 miles an hour. Kirby Shore driving the Roadster and the Coupe in the National Dragster lane, lined up next to the Pro Touring style Camaro on the Summit side of the racetrack. Both drivers come cleanly off the starting line. Better reaction time went to the Camaro, but Kirby's car makes a good move at the top end. He goes through 12 flat with a 9 at 114 miles per hour. So a big thank you to the fine folks at Rocket Racing Fuel and QA1, Comp Cams, and all of our other supporters here. And I can't thank we all can't thank the folks.
We're here with Bryant Goldstone, the guy who won Modified Power Hour last year and who was all lined up to race Unlimited this year with a Javelin, except the Javelin's not here, your Chevelle's back. What happened?
We broke the engine a week before and didn't have time to really get it fixed. So.
From what I understand, parts of the Javelin are still running in Unlimited this weekend. What happened there?
Well, Tom called me on Friday and his car wouldn't make any boost. He asked if he could borrow the torque converter, which I didn't really want to because it's the only spare I have that'll fit my transmission in Mike's car, Mike Roy next door. So he borrowed it and went his quickest time ever. So I think he bought a torque converter. So
that was a hell of a gift because he's talking about Tom Bailey, a guy who laid down the fastest pass we've ever seen at Drag Week, a 672 at about, I think, 214 miles an hour. And Tom's the leader right now. Dave Ahokas only ran a 686. Can't believe I just said only. And those two guys, from what I understand, are going to hit the road and try to survive this deal. So you went, what'd you go, an 831, which is what you won with last year, right?
837. Yeah, didn't make as much power at the top end. I think we need to raise the boost a little.
Okay.
And then Mike here broke his rear end on a wheelie in his first run, and we got my spare rear end going in his car from the Javelin now. So
between Tom Bailey in one class and Mike Roy in another, you're out of spare parts, basically.
Well, I got a trailer full of my other cars, so we're good.
All right, cool. Well, good luck, and we'll see you at the end of the week, hopefully.
Thanks.
Builds bodies, does chassis work, you name it. He's right here. He does work for some contract work for a lot of the race teams and stuff. So always good to see Keith. Good to see him out here. Hardcore racer. Wanted to check out Drag Week for a little while. And thank you all very much for the spectators that have come today. What a crowd. What a crowd we have. And to think about, again, referencing back to that first year where we had 40 cars and nobody there. And I mean nobody. There was barely anybody working at the racetracks we went to, let alone showing up to watch. So this thing has definitely taken on a life of its own, and I know some of you are sitting out there in the stands thinking, man, I got to do this, and you're 100% right. You do have to do this. There is absolutely nothing like this event in the world. This is, as far as drag racing goes, there is no other. This is it. So if you've been thinking about doing it, get yourself ready. Pay close attention to when registration opens. And last year, or for this event, we had 250 slots. It sold out in 8 hours. 8 hours this year. No fooling.
Hey, it's Freiberger from Hot Rod here, reminding you to go check out all the other coverage that we've got going on all around Drag Week 2013. You want to check out Hot Rod Mag on Facebook, on Instagram. You want to look for the hashtag Drag Week 2013. And of course, you're going to want to check out hotrod.com, where we've got photo galleries, results, and news all day long. Check it out.
Funny car testing done here yesterday, so that would explain some of the good mojo we have going in the starting line. I said some because not all. These guys have to maintain it, they got to stay up on it, and they have to keep the that layer of rubber that we're running on from getting too thick or thin. They've been managing that wonderfully today through it is a trying condition to try to keep a starting line here for Drag Week, because we do throw some weird curveballs at you, the track prep crew, I should say, because of the different tires and all the different cars we're running down the course. So, as always, the crew here at Lucas Oil Raceway on top of it. World-class facility. No one.
Day one carnage is not uncommon here at Drag Week, and Mike Roy, I don't know, you broke sooner, I think, than anybody. You literally broke this thing right on the starting line.
Yeah.
What went wrong?
It's famous for that, trying to get this much weight moving really fast with that much power. Broke a ring and pinion, broke 2 transmissions in the last 2 weeks, all on the starting line. I've actually broke 10 transmissions since we put the turbos on it. It's just a really tough car to get moving.
Are you still friends with your tranny guy? Is he still friends with you? Because if you kept bringing back trannies that fast...
I still keep paying for them, so they still talk to me, but they don't really like it. When they see me walk in, they know there's nothing good can come out of it.
What style of trannies are you blowing up in this thing?
It's 400 turbo with I've had a few different manufacturers, Cone Transmissions, trying to help me out with it right now, and the last 2 we had done there, so it didn't break. The rear end broke, so that's a good sign.
And how heavy is the Monte Carlo?
It's 4,060 going down the track with me in it.
And this time when you blew the rear end up, what broke in it?
The ring and pinion. It's the first time for that.
So you're starting at the front and working your way back in terms of damage. We're at the back of the car now, so that's a good sign.
There's nowhere to go from there. Back to the front again.
All right, so you got, I don't know, an hour and a half left. You've yet to get down the track, so what's your strategy now for this hit? Because it might be the only one you get when you get back out there.
We're going for the full power. They said it's either going to go as fast as it's ever went, or it's going to break again. We're not going to halfway down the track it. So whatever we got, we're going to put down on the track.
Mike Roy getting aggressive with his twin-turbo Monte Carlo.
So we have event t-shirts, and I'm not being the typical announcer hack when I say you got to get a t-shirt because they're going to sell out. You got to get a t-shirt because, 1, you can only get them at the venues. We don't sell these online. 2, the only time we're going to be here this week, and the only time we'll be here this year, obviously. So you will not be able to get this shirt again. And 3, we have a special edition Drag Week t-shirt for this racetrack, and it is an adaptation of the famous photo from the beginning days of the U.S. Nationals with the old IRP tower and everything. But in place of what was a dragster in the original photo has been placed Larry Larson's Nova. Larry Larson, of course, not here this year, but his Nova is here in spirit, and his Nova is here on the back of the t-shirt. So pick yourself up one. It is a cool, cool shirt, and we're only selling them here. Corvette lined up next to the Fox Body Mustang. The Corvette comes off the starting line, starts pouring on the coal, smoke out of the exhaust pipes. That cleans up by the time he goes 300 feet. And the third generation Corvette, hot putting through the top end, 1128 with a 7, 123 miles an hour. 1311 with a 3, 102 at the top end of the course. Got the big diesel Chevrolet over there in the National Dragster Lane. It's Adger Smith, one of our track commandants, has come in to the guard tower. He's smoldering here. He's come in from the smoldering heat. This may be the hottest drag week on record. We're not sparing you on the heat. I was frankly surprised we did not see more stuff boiled over on the side of the road that we did yesterday. a testament, I guess, to the improvements that our aftermarket provides in cooling technology and the appreciation guys now have for good cooling systems. 1377 with a 0103. The big diesel truck goes 1711 with a 4 at 87. Buick GSX over the National Dragster lane. Classic Buick over there. Lined up next to that Roadrunner, another well-worn street machine. This car has looked that way since the first time it showed up at Drag Week, and I think it'll look that way for as long as the folks that own it have their hands on it. I dig it. 1101 with a 123 for the Buick. 1153 with the one at 120 for the Roadrunner. Adger is reporting, he's confirming what I've been seeing, which is that the starting line is exceptional, and a lot of the racers are telling him that they've recorded the quickest 60-foot times they've ever had. And I don't know if you heard me, but a couple minutes ago I was talking to Jeff Conley, and he was telling me that they had Top Fuel and Funny Car testing here yesterday. So we came on to a great situation with the facility here, and those guys have taken over there and made it even better. I mean, when the first couple of tables, when Fink first ran his car, when he stood on it, and the thing just, I mean, it went to the moon. I said, okay, we got some teeth out there today, you bet. Oh, he broke the wheelie bar. 10:27 to 129 in the National Dragster lane. Here comes Bob Williams. Williams from Florida. We saw him pull into the hotel last night. We were having a business meeting out there at the hotel. We were providing some business to the Corona company. Our business was to try to help put a third shift on the Corona plant, I think is what our business was. But Bob Smith pulled in late, but he made it, and he is here lined up next to that 55 Chevrolet with the lace paint job on the ceiling. The roof, how about that? So the gas or Chevy hikes the front end up. They really want to the shutter and the transmission shift. But Bob Williams, 112 in the 8th mile. And he goes through the top end. 994 with a 3 at 130 miles an hour. The 55 Chevy goes 1064 with a 6 at 123. Doug Garrison comes up now. Doug in one of my favorite cars. This is a 1964 Pontiac GTO. And it has a big block Chevy engine in it. But before you get all angry, Pontiac people, realize it is backed with a G-Force manual transmission. And here you go. Doug is not sparing the rod at all. He just hiked it up and dumped the clutch, and you see him ripping his way through the gears. 96 miles an hour at the 8th mile. The all-steel Pontiac with a big block Chevy goes 11:53 with an 8 at 123. Doug said after about 5 minutes of that G-Force, he says, I am never buying another synchronized transmission again. He's like, this is the coolest thing I've ever done, he said. Yeah. Brian Goldstone coming up now. Goldstone went 8 O's last time. I believe it was an 8:07, I believe it was the ET. He went down the course last time. Previous to that, it was like an 8:10 he ran yesterday, but he is 8:07 today. See if he can get any more ET out of that gorgeous Chevelle in the National Dragster lane. Eddie Miller waiting in the wings back here. Miller in the purple Duster. Running in our naturally aspirated class. That thing ran down in the 8s. Down the 870s, I believe. Brian Goldstone, a significant reaction time advantage over the Mustang, but look at him run. 138, the 8th mile. Goldstone goes 8:05 with a 5 at 173 miles an hour. So we've seen 10, 7, and 5. And I am good at recognizing patterns, so I bet we're going for a 3 next time, unless he decides to park it and move on. I think he wants a 7-second run here, but I'm not sure how much he's going to be willing to push it. He's already run very strong, you know. And again, that's the chess game of Drag Week. It is how hard do you want to go before you finally say, okay, that's what I got. I got to live with it, get to the next racetrack. So we may see Goldstone again. We might not. We'll keep our eyes peeled for that silver Chevelle. As that great-looking black Monte Carlo rolls to the starting line and then gets backed off a little bit as the guys mop up some stuff, some juice up there on the line, which I'm assuming might have come out of Goldstone's Chevelle. As if it came out of the Amati, they would be throwing him out of the place. We've not seen John Ferroni run his 1969 Aussie Charger either. I talked to John a little bit. They're working on a computer programming issue deal, which I think they got handled. They were trying to download a tune-up into it, and they were unable to do so. but it looks like they got that fixed, so we should be seeing that car. One of the most unique cars on Drag Week, and I can guarantee you, or if there's less than 10 of them in the country, and it might be the only one you've ever seen, a 1969 Charger from Australia. Drifting to the Monty, breaking the tires, through swaying back and forth, 133 at the 8th mile. Look at him gain on the Nova. The Nova goes through at 10:06 with a 1:35. The Monty, despite a 150 60-foot time, went 8:92 with a 9 at 166 miles an hour. It left like a school bus, and it was running like a rocket by the time it got to 1,000 feet. Doing a John Force style burnout in his naturally aspirated machine. Miller rolls the thing down to 300 feet, smolder the tires. He's going to get in reverse and bring back the purple duster. And Eddie is nothing if not a showman. Running this car in the naturally aspirated category, he ran 871, I believe, yesterday. That purple duster has been on Drag Week many, many times. He has won his class once, and he actually won Unlimited, or he won the overall title one year. Not running Unlimited, but the guy who won Unlimited ran 13, had a 13-second average because he was the only car that survived. And Miller from the Pro Street category won the overall title because he was the quickest car. So Eddie, we got the video camera set up. We got all the stuff going. Eddie's pre-staged. The guy in the Corvettes is waiting on Eddie. Here we go. Starting like here, the guy in the Corvette, I think he might have fractured U-joint or something, or pieces, as Miller goes down 869 with a 3 at 155 miles an hour. 007 red light start, but we're not holding that against him. 557 to the 8th at 126 miles an hour, and he stops the clocks 869.3, 155. So he has been putting some good numbers up. As a reference, the the Pro Street naturally aspirated winning average last year was 926 with an 8:139, and Miller is currently on pace to have an average in the high 860s or low 870s if he can keep the car together. Unfortunately, the Corvette has broken. They got to roll him off. I'm sure it was a around here. Jason is still looking for a coilover shock for the back of his 55 Chevy. He came up here earlier. Somebody has a coilover shock out there. Maybe you guys might have one. Look. So Steve Harris is looking for a coilover shock for the back of the 55 Chevrolet. If you need to find Keith, it's easy to find because the front end of that car is about 6 feet in the air. That thing has some serious altitude to it. So find Keith, help him out. He needs a coilover shock for the back of his 55. Jeff Dugapolowski coming up to the summit, to the starting line in the summit lane, lining up next to that Hugger Orange Camaro, the National Dragster side of things. Everybody fully staged. Dugapolowski, a guy who has won the daily driver category at least once, and twice. Great bracket race. Look at 003 reaction time for Jeff. And Jeff powers down 11:54 with a 6:114. Camaro goes 16:20 with a 2 at 84 miles an hour. Trouble in the disco on that side of the racetrack. Top end of the racetrack, the S10 and the Corvette lined up side by side. 12:24 with the 2:110. The Corvette goes 11:92 with the 1 at 1:20. Look at this pair side by side. 1961 Chevrolet there in the National Dragster lane, taking on the Buick. The Buick, though, does have a Chevy engine. Stick shift transmissions on both sides of the tree. 61 Fox, pretty hard off the starting line. Buick running away right down the lane, 85 miles an hour at half court. And the Buick grabbing fourth gear up there at the top end, goes 12:65 with a 4 at 106 miles an hour. LS Power late model Pontiac GTO and the first gen Camaro. GTO leads hard and the first gen Camaro is trying to run after the Pontiac, but the Pontiac will outrun him. LS Power down the National Dragster lane, 11:92 with a 1 at 114 miles an hour, 14:39 with a 9 at 96 on the Summit side of the racetrack. Plymouth Satellite, well-worn paint over there at the National Dragster side. 1973 Camaro here on the Summit side of the course. for the Plymouth, trying to make up the ground. A little bit of smoke in the 8th mile, and the Plymouth begins to slow, front row, as the Chevy goes 11:29 with the 9, 1:14, and the Plymouth slowing goes 12:96 at just 99 miles an hour. Hopefully that thing is not hurt too bad. Thanks for tuning in today, and thank you to the Pep Boys Speed Shop for sponsoring the live streaming broadcast of the entirety of Drag Week 2013, Hot Rod Magazine Drag Week 2013, sponsored by Gear Vendors and the Pep Boys Speed Shop. A unique opportunity to get a window into this event every day, see what happens. Someday we'll be able to live broadcast the drive, but that's like a 20-hour deal, because there are guys that will leave here before noontime and not get to the hotel until after midnight. So the drive that these racers will be going on today, 216 miles an hour, or 216 miles, I should say. Oh, okay. Yeah, so 216 is the listed mileage, and that'll probably be a 10-hour trip for most of these guys. So here comes little Maverick again, 302, 4-speed, lined up next to the primered Camaro and the National Dragster lane. Better reaction time goes to the Camaro 017, the 091 light of the Maverick. Maverick, the guy actually dialed the thing back a little bit from last year. He was spinning it almost to like 78, 7,900, I think he said. 1382 with a 2 at 96 miles an hour. The 4-speed Maverick goes 1394 with a 5 at 105. And here comes a pair of heavy-duty players. It is Sean Fink coming up here in the Chevy 2, little sedan delivery. Fink had the wheelie bar failure on the first run. The thing stood right up, and he did it twice. So they got the wheelie bar repaired, and Fink with the small block. This is a 23-degree headed small block Chevy engine, 400 cubic inches, and it has gone down, I believe in the 780s is the quickest it's gone, 760s. We'll have to watch. This year it has not gone that quick. Remember last year in Tulsa on the final day, laid down a pretty decent number. But for a standard issue style small block Chevy, using the vast majority of off-the-shelf parts, there was no real exotica happening here under the hood. It is a good running piece. Looks good going down the road too. No, don't see too many sedan delivery Chevy 2s. That is faux show. John Ferroni from Australia will be next on to the racetrack in that Aussie Charger I told you about before, that 1969 Charger. I think it was 1969 Charger Valiant, or Valiant Charger they called it down there. Ferroni's car weighs over 4,000 pounds. It weighs 4,185 pounds, or at least it did when it was at Bowling Green. And unless it sweat off a couple, it's still well over 4,000 pounds. Trouble for Sean Fink is I think they're trying to figure out what the program's going to be here. Nope, they're headed to the starting line. That's good. Okay, so Sean Fink has welded a Craftsman wrench to the wheelie bar to fix it. So there is literally a wrench welded in place to hold the wheelie bar together. And it worked. He hit the pedal a little bit. He actually hit the tire so hard it looked like it unloaded, but he pedaled and settled the car down. 132 in the 8th mile, and he goes 833 with a 7 at 166. And John Ferroni from Australia, who's up in the timing tower working on his computer trying to get a new tune-up to load into it. You see Ferroni driving on the quote-unquote wrong side of the car. It is right-hand drive. And believe it or not, you cannot, ironically, he cannot drive this thing on the street in Australia. It's illegal to drive this car in Australia. As soon as you cannot drive a tubbed car legally in Australia. It apparently violates some rule, and that's it. And Ferroni, the big giant smoke and burn out there in the Charger. Welcome to Indy, he says. Ferroni, he is an engine builder in Australia by trade. That's what he does, and it costs $9,000 each way to ship the car. $9,000 to get it here, $9,000 to get it home. Ferroni goes down 898 with a 0 at 159. Well, here comes this cool truck. This guy comes all the way up from California every year. We call him Swede. It is a supercharged LS motor in there. I believe Duttweiler built the engine. This thing runs at the 11s. It normally runs out around the dunes and stuff. They do like a Baja chase truck type deal with it. But every year at Drag Week, he switches to it and takes it to the drag strip. The Canada Little Nova's on a great run. Goes 892 0, 155, and Swede goes 1160 with a 0 at 115 miles an hour. .47.7104 as the worn out looking Impy goes 13:45 with an 8 at 105 miles an hour. Old Scumless gets a good start, and Scumless for the little Dodge Shadow over there. It's a turbocharged 4-cylinder in that car, and the Oldsmobile. A big torque and motor goes 1261 to 107. The Shadow goes down 1781 with a 6 at 98 miles an hour. Got the Pontiac G8 rolling up on the National Dragster side, lined up next to that great-looking silver Camaro. Camaro takes off. A lot of our daily driver competitors still filtering through the lanes. 12:19 with a 0.108. The G8 goes down 14:55 with a 6 at 99 miles an hour. 1471 with a 4 at 80 miles an hour for the Camaro, as a Chevy Avalanche goes 1774 with the 2 at 79 miles an hour. Staging lanes are open. Staging lanes are open. We still have some of our highest profile unlimited competitors have not made runs yet today. And we are going to be done at 1 o'clock. There's less than 2 hours remaining. Less than 2 hours remaining for racers to get their shots in, to turn in their time slip, and to get on rolling. Once again, 2 hours, under 2 hours until we close things up and head on to the next racetrack. We are turning in time slips, racers, on the second floor of the timing tower. Come up to the second floor, and I think we got a sign or two out there. You'll find Tanya and Donna. They will take care of you, getting your slip verified, checking out your checkpoint photos, and then getting you the route for today. Yep, 1 o'clock termination. No movie night tonight. On your own time. Wait a second, that might be dangerous. Let's get a movie together. You people can't be trusted. You thought we did that to like entertain you. We just did that to put you in a group so we could keep an eye on everybody. We do not want to make a movie. No, we do not want that to happen. Nobody wins in that scenario. Pontiac G8 going to line up against the 61 Chevy with a 4-speed in it. This guy bogged this car pretty hard on the summit side of the racetrack earlier. Going to modify that launch technique. Again, yeah, the starting line is just fighting so hard. I'm sure the guy came up with 200 RPM on his watch out, did the same thing. It just pulled the motor all the way down. Pontiac G8 going to get to the finish line first, 14:04 to 106, as the classic Chevrolet goes a 16:24 with a 2 at 91. $1:30. You have to have all your time slips turned in by 1:30, and let's say you do make a run before we shut things off for today, and then you don't get your time slip up here. It never happens. And you get the second penalty or whatnot. You don't want that to happen. So 1:30 is the latest time you can show up with a time slip. 1:30, the latest you can show up with a time slip. And actually, considering time slip turn-in locations, one of the cooler ones, because then you say, yeah, I've been in the tower at Indy, you know, just hanging out, you know, been here, done that, it's cool. So come in, get your time slip turned in before 1:30 p.m. and take a photo, take a little selfie of yourself in front of the window or something. Tanya and Alana from Hot Rod have been taking photos of themselves incessantly in there. Wow. And the crowd has turned ugly. They have turned on me, man. Wow. Just a little bit of fun here. Of course I did. Of course I mentioned your beauty and grace. So we have there's an old Dodge Coupe, I believe, coming up here. There's a 440 in the front of it. Andrew Smith going to head back out there, patrolling the safety lane. And almost for the old Hot Rod Coupe, and the Camaro going to run down the National Dragster lane. And 1171 with an 8 at 101 for the Camaro. And the Coupe headed down the summit side of things, 1706 with the 6 at 72. Once again, about an hour and 45 minutes till we close the staging lanes for good. About an hour and 45 minutes till we close the staging lanes for good. If you're thrashing, I don't mean to put additional pressure on you, but I do want to let you know what you have for a time frame left. An hour and 45 minutes until we are Dunzerino. A very well-worn Pontiac Trans Am. Oh yeah, the back end of that thing, axle wrapping up, shuddering pretty hard. All people lined up, or three was lined up in the other lane. Paul making a good pass in the turbocharged Mustang. Goes 1195 with a 3 at 131 miles an hour. The Pontiac goes 1401 with a 1460 with a 1 at 99 miles an hour. Olds Cutlass and the Fox Body Mustang lined up side by side. Brian Goldstone coming up the So a little Dodge Shadow, front-wheel driver, four-door turbo car, lined up next to the Chevelle. And the Chevelle stops the clock, 13:10 with a 982 miles an hour. And trouble for the Shadow as it apparently leaked in the starting line. They were backing the little Dodge out of the way, or the Spirit Shadow, one of those deals. Heck of a sleeper, that guy.
The most restrictive classes we have at Drag Week are the street race and super street categories. In small block power rider, you've got to run a full interior, stock style suspension, but you want to run nitrous? We got a class for that. Hell, you want to run 5 leaf blowers? We've got a class for that too. And as you can see, the Roadkill Monza is here. Jeff Lutz Jr. did not get his Honda ready in time, so he is piloting Hot Rod's favorite hatchback. That's 5 Husqvarna leaf blowers under the hatch of this thing that pushed it to 139 miles an hour in the standing mile at Ohio Mile. We have no idea how fast this thing will go in the quarter, but we are anxious to find out.
So another late second generation Pontiac Firebird rolling up. This is another one of the tattered looking, well-used versions. Next to that primered up Chevy Nova in the Summit lane. So great looking third gen Pontiac Firebird rolls in next to the Grand National. Both cars are the same era, the Grand National, a fearsome machine. You see the Trans Am purging the nitrous. And of course, this was a battle that would have been lined up on the streets back in the late 1980s, early 90s with the turbocharged Grand Nationals going out of production in the late 80s. But they, to this day, still maintain a pretty good presence at all different types of racing. They are great cars and they can make a ton of horsepower. Those turbocharged V6s have a sound all their own, that is for sure. So the Pontiac on nitrous and the turbocharged 6-cylinder Grand National get ready to run off against each other, both running in our daily driver category. Red light start by 67,000 for the Pontiac. The Grand National shoots the ducks out there. So black soot kind of smoke rings coming out of the tailpipe. As the Pontiac goes 12.25 with a 3.110, and the Buick rolls through the top end, 16.29 with an 8 at 56. Hopefully nothing too badly tweaked there.
We're standing here at Indy with Tom Bailey, driver of the 6 Seconds Camaro, who just went 670 at 213 miles an hour. How did that feel?
Oh, it felt amazing. I mean, it was nice and soft, actually nice and smooth. I mean, got to give the props to Brian Goldstone for loaning me his converter, because it's a whole different feel than the converter I had. So it actually, I mean, as you can tell by my 60-foot time and stuff, it was actually slow, and then it all just rolled in about 330. So felt amazing, then sat me back in the seat. I didn't look at the G meter yet to see when we hit peak G, but it had to be around that 330 mark.
So it's safe to say you're not giving him his converter back?
So, no, safe to say I'll order another one for him. Joe at Pro Torque, he's the man with that.
Okay, so how much is left in this car? I mean, you've been 672, you've been 670. The conditions here are not great. We're sweating like pigs. So what's left for Friday, should you get there?
We'll have to wait and see on that. I can just tell you there's more.
All right, good enough. For those of you at home, let's do a little comparison here. He took a quarter of a mile to go 213 miles an hour. A Bugatti Veyron, I don't know, that takes about 18 to 20 seconds to go 200 miles an hour. So damn impressive performance from a true street car.
Tom Bailey, 170 in the 8th mile. Tom Bailey, 670 with a 9 and 213 miles an hour. Oh, baby.
Hey, it's Freiberger from Hot Rod here, reminding you to go check out all the other coverage that we've got going on all around Drag Week 2013. You want to check out Hot Rod Mag on Facebook, on Instagram. You want to look for the hashtag Drag Week 2013. And of course, you're going to want to check out hotrod.com, where we've got photo galleries, results, and news all day long. Check it out.
So Jeff Conley putting some miles on the... And that's because of the hard work of our track crew. The Impact Motorsports Safety Equipment guy, we need you back to Brian Goldstone's 1970 Chevelle. That is the silver car with the black rally stripes on it. Impact Motorsports Safety Equipment guy, get back to Brian Goldstone's Chevelle, which is eking ever closer to the 7-second range. Pass by pass, they said, yeah, the weather, you guys are racing in a swamp this week. All right, here race engines running. And Eric Yost coming around the corner now to the starting line in his Camaro with that patina wrap on it. Customs by Big Gun is his company down in the Carolina area. Jeff has worked extensively as a NASCAR fabricator. He's involved in pro stock NHRA teams. The guy's a real whiz at just about everything he touches. This Camaro is his personal car, and he's out here having fun on drag week. You remember Eric normally raced, or did race for a couple of years, a car called the Dirty Bird, which was a kind of a tough-looking 1980s Pontiac Firebird that had visually seen better days, but performance-wise was dominating. It ran all week in the sevens last year, won its class, and Eric walked away with another guitar. I believe the second one he has earned as a drag week class champion. So Yost rolling slowly towards that pre-stage meeting. This will be his first run of the day in the Camaro. We'll see how aggressive he wants to get with it. The starting line is certainly there to hang on to it. And the racers, especially those in the unlimited categories that are going to be running later in the morning or earlier in the afternoon, there's more starting line here than there was. And Eric Yost, 134th, the 8th mile, and the Camaro goes 8:59 with a 2 at 167 miles an hour. Eric Yost, a drama-free run right down the racetrack, 8:59.2, 167. The white Camaro coming up the starting line, the summit side of the racetrack, as we are getting close here on time. Lots of racers coming there. Coming in the end of their slips. Great group of fans, thanks for coming out today. Those of you who come up, spectate, hang out. It is a fantastic event. Thanks for ditching out of work on a Tuesday morning, coming to the drag strip. What's cooler than that? 11:08 with the 2, 111 miles an hour. National Dragster Lane, 11:32 with the 6 at 120. The Impala taking on the G8 now, side by side. G8 pre-stage, the Impala rolling in. Oh, great. The dude with the coupe here got the car fixed. This thing is rolling through the water box right now. 392 style Hemi. 8 Stromberg carburetors on top, a stick shift, and yesterday he wiped the drive shaft right out of this thing, but I'm glad he got it fixed and he's back up here today. And a good drag race between the old school Chevy and the late model Pontiac. The Chevrolet goes 14:23.5, 14:71.197 for the Poncho. Here comes the coupe. This is actually an old Plymouth coupe. It is not a Ford. It is a Plymouth, noting the grill shell and stuff, and there's a body tag on it and everything. Got the cool kind of Cadillac style taillights Frenched into the back of the car. And of course the Hemi with the 8 Strombergs on it and a stick shift. Came out of the whole harness. Did not take it easy on that thing. You hear it ripping through the gears. To the 8th mile at 92 miles an hour, and the classic hot rod goes down 11.91 with a 5 at 114. Here comes Jeff Lutz. We just mentioned his name, and lo and behold, here he comes. And so Jeff Lutz completes his burnout across the starting line. It was a very difficult day for him yesterday at Bowling Green. The best run he eked out of the car was in the 730s at about 190 odd miles an hour. And frankly, that ain't enough. From what we have seen so far, especially from the Bailey camp, we have not seen David Hokus come back up. But Jeff needs to put a solid run together here today to keep himself within fighting distance. I don't think or know if that car is capable of running quicker than 690. That is the quickest it has ever gone. 690 is the quickest this 57 Chevy has traversed the quarter mile to this point. Not saying that it can't go any quicker, but that is what we know so far. It is a very large car, and it is a very true to form 57 Chevy. It does not have any aerodynamic trickery or weirdness to it. It's far as looks go and as far as aerodynamic capability goes, in front of all of that. And here comes Lutz, 125 in the short time, through the 8th mile at 153, and Jeff Lutz through the traps, 778, 145. The chutes were out way early, 493, 153 at the 8th. He had the chutes pulled at that thing at probably 800, 900 feet. They were blossoming before he went through the timing traps. Not sure what he saw or sensed or felt or whatnot, but he terminated that run early. Driver into National Dragster lane, lifted, rolling through the top end. The third gen goes 11.77.3, 118 miles an hour. And again, a guy that's just having a tough day over there in the National Dragster lane. We saw that car pulled over, and several guys were working on it yesterday. I'm glad they got it here, but now they're trying to get it down the racetrack. That great looking car with a big cowl hood scoop goes 112 in the 8th mile and through the top end, 986 with a 6, 140 miles an hour. As the Maverick goes 1467 with a 4 at 106. This little Monza is kind of a sneaky customer here in the Summit lane. Small tire, doesn't look like a whole bunch. It's one of the Pep Boys Speed Shop guys actually, and it hauls. 9-second car, it's going to swallow that. I believe it's going to swallow that right rear tire pretty hard. Lined up next to that wild Malibu of Scott Smith. Scott Smith again, very easy at the starting line, had a pedal. Looked like the front end was getting way loose on him. Meanwhile, the little Monza, wide open throttle to the top end. The Monza goes 11.48 with a 1 at 129 miles an hour. 11.48 with a 1, 129 for the Monza. Nice clean pass. And here comes Joe Barry in the 56 Chevrolet. Joe Barry, another one of the big steel cars competing here this weekend. And like the Lutzmobile, it is a non-aerodynamicized shoebox. It has all the same troubles that a shoebox does with all that air turning into a giant wall in front of the car at speed. Joe Barry has been a drag week stalwart for a while. And here comes Jeff Lutz. We just mentioned his name, the 57 Chevy, rolling back to the pits with a pretty good head of steam. So something tells me that Lutz is going to be coming back for more action today. He is coming back to the pits like he needs it. 11:32, so roughly an hour and a half until staging lanes close. So Joe Barry completes his burnout, backs up to the starting line. Barry got the wheelie bars adjusted. I believe the fastest or the quickest this car has gone is 7 flat. It is a twin turbocharged big block, as many of the competitors in Unlimited have run over the years, including Larry Larson, who's used that combination to win this event 5 years straight. Larry, of course, not here this year. So there'll be a new king in town, new sheriff in the Unlimited category. Very soft on the starting line. The car roars to life. It did not shake the tires like it has done. 156 of the 8th mile, and Joe Barry goes 771 at 180. 771 at 180. 60-foot time, only 149. So that thing was real soft coming out of the hole. One of the things that Barry has fought consistently is tire shake, and they pulled a lot of power away from it, I think, to keep that from happening, which they succeeded in doing. But 771, 180, not the number that Joe Barry was hoping for.
When we last visited Jeff Lutz on day 1 of Drag Week, he had the right side cylinder head off of his 57 Chevy. When we showed up today, you had the left side cylinder head off. What is going on?
Well, we stepped up the turbos for this year, and they're a little bigger than we anticipated. The boost got a little out of control yesterday, and apparently, I got both head gaskets at once, but we replaced one made to drive and figured we'd just change this one today.
I know you're nuts, but is the rumor true that you drained the block of the water after the first pass and made the second pass with nothing in it?
Absolutely. That's the only way you can keep a spark plug lit. If you keep water in there, it'll just keep popping and banging. And I couldn't leave yesterday with a 918 on the table. I had to go for it. And that's what we did, and it paid off.
Jeff Lutz, man on a mission, second place last year. He's looking for first place this year.
The Gasser pickup truck, the 413 making power on the back of the car, down the right lane there. The truck with the hammer down through the summit lane goes 11:58 with a 3:116, an absolutely awesome piece. Okay, we got a dude looking for a turnbuckle. 3/8 turnbuckle, left hand, right hand thread, 3/8 turnbuckle. Somebody's going to have some of these sitting in a toolbox. It's a Camaro sitting, no, it's not a Camaro. What is it? RX-7, okay. Mazda RX-7 sitting down behind the Hot Rod Magazine Toter Home, right in that area. So head down to the Hot Rod Magazine Toter Home area. You'll see the RX-7 looking for a 3/8 turnbuckle, left hand, right hand thread. Kevin's car, I thought he raced a Camaro, which he does, but it turns out they were racing the RX-7 this week, and his wife had mentioned that she would much prefer to be racing the Camaro, but they're in the RX-7. 13 flat with a 3.110 in the National Dragster lane, 11.63 with a 6.115 on the Summit side of the racetrack. It is the Ford Torino and the Mustang. National Dragster lane, the Torino with a Roush-built big block Ford engine takes off. Mustang way late off the start line, moving school in a turbo. But the Starsky and Hutchmobile goes 12.01 with a 313 miles an hour. Mustang goes 11.05 with a 5 at 125. Bunch of orange stuff after there. There's a little hot rod coming up the staging lane. The Chevelle runs down right past them. 1094 with a 7.126. The better in the Summit lane goes 14.92 with an 8 at 97 miles an hour. That's a good point Andrew brought up. Yeah, the unsung kind of heroes of drag week are those people in the passenger seat or helping the driver lay under the car, or, you know, the driver ultimately is the guy who's going to get the glory. But in very 99% of cases out here, there's somebody in the passenger seat, and that somebody in the passenger seat is providing a very valuable service. So helping the car, back in the parachute, doing something to aid the operation. And yeah, tuning on the computer, just doing something. Maintaining conversation so people don't fall asleep and drive off the highway at night. You know, it's everything. Everybody's got a job here. Well, one of the more famous Monzas ever to hit the internet. That's the Monza used in the Roadkill episode, where the guys mounted 5 leaf blowers in the back of it at Jeff Lutz's fabrication shop in Pennsylvania. So they loaded the leaf blowers in, they raced this thing, they drove it to Ohio, raced it on the Ohio Mile. I don't know if they're running it with the leaf blowers engaged today or not. I don't think it's not. And the Gremlin gets off the starting line. Starts to put the real estate between itself and the Monza. So the Gremlin goes through 11.90 with a 5.119. The Monza goes 14.88 with a 4 at 95 miles an hour. And we are 1 hour and 15 minutes away from closing the staging lanes, folks. We're 1 hour and 15 minutes away from shutting it down. I'm sorry, yeah, it is closing, like 1 o'clock is the last run that's being made. And that's not, if you are not on the starting line at 1 o'clock, you are done. So I don't want anybody to think that naked statements by 1 you're going to run in. You need to be on the racetrack by 1 p.m. or it is over. Like Wormer dropped the big one kind of over. 11.89.4 down the Summit lane. So our 4-speed hot rod making up for lost time. It's a really cool car with the 4-speed and the Hemi and the eight Strombergs on top of it. I can imagine getting that deal tuned up the first time was a real adventure. Driver is fairly handy with his stick shift as he is ripping through the gears. 92 feet. And the coupe goes down 11.88 with a 1 at 112 miles an hour. Tire drag action as our competitors go down the racetrack. Monza heads down 1460, only 62 miles an hour. He was way out of the throttle. 1289.7, 110 in the National Dragster lane. That boys.
We're here with John Ferrone, who has one of the most unique cars here at Drag Week, partly because it came all the way from Oz. Where are you from, John?
Perth, West Australia.
Okay.
14,000 miles away.
14,000 miles. How far in advance did you have to ship this car to get it here?
3 months.
And where did it go 3 months ago from where, you put it on a boat, it gets here. Who takes care of your baby for 3 months till you get here?
Okay, it sat over at Larson Race Cars in Missouri just to have a cross member made for it, and then I picked it up 3 weeks ago and then took the transmission over to Rosler and had it rebuilt, and that's where it's been.
Transmissions have been your nemesis, it seems, as of late. Last year, we saw the car on fire, briefly, thank God. We saw the trans in and out of the car several times. I made the mistake of saying you didn't finish Drag Week, and it might only be a partial mistake. You didn't get an ET on day 5, even though you were here, because I think you didn't turn in your slip. How quick did you go? You redeemed yourself on day 5, but I have no idea how quick you even went.
Okay, it went 8.2 on the Saturday, but it did 4 passes on the Saturday, the slowest being 8.38. But my partner didn't hand the slips in, so that's why you thought I didn't finish.
Yeah, well, and technically, according to the rules, you didn't finish, which sucks, because I know you were there, and the car looked great, looked better than it had all week, but you technically didn't finish. So this year, is the goal just to finish and be legit and actually turn the slip in, or do you have an ET in mind that you want to break?
Well, I'm going to see how it goes. I'm still tuning on the car because I've changed the whole combination since last year. So I'll start off trying to get it back to where it was last year and hopefully be there at the end of the week to turn it up a bit, you know what I mean?
And turn it up, like what are we talking, 7s?
Yeah, in the 7s somewhere hopefully.
I hope you do it because it's a long ride home.
Most definitely. And getting a 4,100 85-pound car down the track is a little bit challenging as well.
Tell us about the car, because most people from here in the States are not even going to have a clue what they're looking at. It's a Valiant. It's a body, but what is it called over in Oz?
It's called a 1972 Valiant Charger, which has got a body platform like your Dodge Darts, so all the suspension components are interchangeable, but it's Chrysler's take on what your Charger is. More like your 66, 67, it's more like that, I think.
And what does it have under the hood now?
It's a 572-inch wedge that I've built. Last year's motor was a 472. So this one's 572 with a set of Pro Mod 88 GDX turbos, Garrett. So it's a bit of a challenge to get it up on the trans brake at the moment, but I'm still in the middle of tuning, so we'll see how we go.
There you go. Australian version of the Charger with twin hair dryers. Hopefully going to go in the 7s this week. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Good on you, mate.
All right, so we are closing in on the 1 hour mark as we have our competitors here. Staging lanes are wide open for everybody at this point. Staging lanes are wide open for everyone. We're not discerning by classes or anything else. Staging lanes are wide open. It is a free-for-all. Get into the lanes, get a spot, and make a lap. That's what we're looking for you to do. Staging lanes are open for everybody. Get them in and roll them. Here out of our two competitors amongst the Buick and the Camaro. The Camaro goes 12:41, 110. Buick goes 14:98 with 0 at 95 miles an hour. Dodge Colt lining up against Todd Mashmeyer. I should say Todd Mashmeyer's Camaro, as driven by Travis Gilpin. So Travis in the seat, Todd out in front. In the first lap, the car went down. It did not agree with Travis. He had to pedal the thing. It was up on the center line. He ended up getting out of it and rolling through. So whatever they had an issue with, hopefully they got that squared away and they're ready to go. To 60 feet, 145 in the 8th mile, and Travis goes 772 with a 6 and 178 miles an hour. 7.726, 178. That is their best run of the week by a whole bunch. 7.72 with a 6, 178 for the Mashmeyer owned and Travis Gilpin driven nitrous Camaro. Chevy S10 pickup, 11.16 with a 0.124 for the Corvette. The S10 goes 12.09 at 112, and here comes, well, one of the most creative, for lack of a better term, creations on Drag Week, and that would be the extended cab, twin turbo, big block powered, rear engine S10 pickup. Yes, the engine is in the rear of the truck, underneath the cover on top of the bed. And in place of the engine is a 35-gallon fuel cell. And these guys are from New York. They've had a series of nitrous engines in this thing, and they decided to put the twin turbo engine in. That's what all the cool kids are doing. They're having ignition problems with it yesterday. Today. Doesn't look like it. At the half course mark at the 8th mile, the thing has already begun to slow down. 76 in the 8th, and it goes down the top end. 13.66 at just 83 miles an hour for the very interesting pickup truck. the Mustang headed down the summit lane, going 11:10 with a 6:127 on a solo pass. 61 Chevy, again, the driver working on getting this thing off the starting line without having it kind of fall over on its face, and the starting line is so sticky out there, I think he's having to bring a lot more RPM to the table than he was used to, and maybe modify the way he's releasing the clutch a little bit, feather a little bit more. Super clean Chevy S10 in the National Dragster lane. But here comes the truck. The truck comes by really hauling a 911 with an 8 at 151 as the 61 Chevy goes 1372 with a 4 at 98 miles an hour. Just like yesterday, reached that time of the run session where things slow down a little bit. Doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna not see anything dramatic, because there's still some unlimited competitors that I'm fairly convinced that are not going to want to stand on the numbers they put up. So we may see a couple of last-minute runs by a few of our heavy-duty racers, both in unlimited and some of our other class categories. And the well-worn Chevelle, perfect patina on that 67 Chevelle. Along the roof line and tops of the quarter panels and trunk lid. Our launch as well, 095 reaction time, 165 to 60 feet. And a good-looking Chevelle stops the clocks 11:43 with an 8 at 118 miles an hour. Here comes the Monza again. We start to go down into the mid-11. Well, up to second fast now. It's moving along pretty good. 101 in the 8th mile, the little Monza. Trucking goes 10:79 with an 8 at 127 over the National Dragster lane. And a bit of a lull in the action as we're waiting for more competitors to come up. Take a minute to thank our great sponsors here on Drag Week, Pep Boys, Hot Rod Shop, and Gear Vendors, our two co-sponsors, the two co-presenting sponsors. Gear Vendors, Under an Overdrive, a piece of componentry that many of the top cars out here on Drag Week are using, and many very cool hot rods and even antique cars across the country are utilizing. One install can completely change the dynamics of an old car and how it drives down the road. More gears is more better. Gear vendors been involved with Drag Week for years. And the Pep Boys Speed Shop co-sponsored the event and helping us to bring you the live streaming coverage that will be going on all week long. As we head to St. Louis tomorrow, and then to Memphis on Thursday, and then back to Beach Bend on Friday. You'll be able to watch it all live the whole rest of the week. Same time. That is on it's going to be broadcast on the Motor Trend channel on YouTube. You go to youtube.com/Motor Trend. That's where you get to watch the live streaming broadcast. We got Rocket Brand Racing Fuel, and Rocket Brand Racing Fuel, and Jack Day has been a supporter of Drag Week really since the beginning. He's got a couple drums of fuel that he'll be giving away at the end of the week. That is an amazingly generous deal. And every gallon of Rocket Brand Racing Fuel is blended with the uncompromising care, knowledge, and expertise that comes from over 50 years of internationally sanctioned racing experience. Rocket Brand Racing Fuel, taking you faster than you've ever gone before. Competition Cams is a big sponsor here at Drag Week.
One of the smallest cars here at Drag Week is this 82 Mazda RX-7, and we thought it was going to show up with some of the biggest tires and run Pro Street right alongside Eddie Miller, which would have been fun because you and Eddie like to jaw on one of our favorite dirtbag drag racing sites, yellowbullet.com, but you showed up with small tires, and now you're in modified NA. I still had high hopes for you because I thought this is a really light car. It's packing Jake Stelter's 760-ish horsepower small block. I thought this thing's going to be badass. And last night, you guys went all the way to Tennessee for a new tranny. What the hell happened?
Yeah, yesterday on our first test hit, we were just going to run it out and see what it did in the corner. We've only made 8th mile passes on it, and when I went to shift into 4th, it just started grinding. So I thought I might have missed a gear, so I pushed the clutch in, got to the return road, cut it off, got into the car, and noticed we had a nice puddle of transmission fluid underneath the car. Basically split the Jericho case right down the middle, brand new transmission. And luckily we had some good friends over here to help us out, and we were able to get the thing swapped out late last night and put a power glide in it, and we made our first test hit a little while ago with it and got a few adjustments to make. We're happy with it right now.
And I believe, unless I'm wrong, the winning average last year in this class was a 10.18. You already ran a 10 flat, I think, but it looked like you pedaled it, and now I see you guys have some MacGyver going on here under the hood. What's up with the throttle cable?
Yeah, we didn't realize it, but the throttle cable, the outside portion of it was broke, and when we were trying to go full throttle, it was hanging up. And Jake was able to rig us up a nice little fix there temporarily. We've got a new throttle cable waiting in Indy for us, and we should be good to go on that.
With a 10.03, I think is what you run. Are you going to go again and hit, or are you going to hit the road?
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and hit the road. We're complacent with that, so we're not going to be too concerned as far as making up the average during the rest of the week if we need to.
Wow, for a first-time guy at Drag Week, you're pretty smart. Surviving. Yeah. What a novel approach.
Yeah, we've had a lot of good input from people that have been doing this thing for a while now, and we're just thankful to have those guys helping us out and kind of giving us the walkthrough. So,
well, from what I hear, if you don't get lost, there's a really great movie waiting for us in a mall parking lot somewhere in Indy. The Snake and Mongoose flick is being shown tonight, and I doubt I'll get to see it, but I hope you do.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, hopefully we'll have enough time to settle in and catch a flick. It'd be nice.
All right, Kevin Capslock. Don't know his last name. Have fun.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, man.
Car down the racetrack. Believe it or not, this car did not make it through the test session last year. Broke an axle, and the driver was unable to get one that would work for his application, but he's back this year. It's great to see. Hammers the throttle. This big deal, by the way. It's active. Looks like a little bog off the starting line. Again, this thing is so tight out there. It's got so much grip. Drivers just having to alter their normal launch technique because it is lugging motors down. And the Trailblazer SS completes a burnout as this pickup truck slowly rolls past the finish line. There have been a few Trailblazer SS's out here this week. I see too many around the road. I think I've seen more in concentration this week than I have in some time. Trailblazer SS stops the clock 12-12 and 9 at 109 miles an hour. See us starting to scavenge our banners back. Make sure we can have something to hang up the next couple of racetracks so they don't grow legs and walk away. 12:07 is the time on the clock we have here in the tower, so 53 minutes. 53 minutes until we are closed up and out of here. 53 minutes till we are done racing. That doesn't mean close the lanes. That means the last car goes down the track in 53 minutes. All time slips need to be handed in before 1:30. All time slips need to be handed in before 1:30 p.m. You got till 1:30 to get your time slips in, or your run did not exist. And Truckzilla is coming once again. So the extended S10 pickup truck, again, this thing has a twin turbocharged big block mounted in the bed. Under the hood is a 35-gallon fuel cell. You can start to see the whole chassis kind of arch a little bit when he just hit the throttle. That was interesting. And again, by the 8th mile, the thing is just not happy. They were having trouble yesterday with the ignition. It was just it was missing and just sounded real bad, and so the driver kept getting out of it when the boost came up. And that appears to still be the case. 1393 with an 8 at 65. Dodge Cole line up next to the Nova. Cole made a ton of runs. Four-speed Nova from the starting line hard. Nova 94 V8 miles. And the Nova stops the clock. 11:32 with a 3:1:22. Over in the Summit lane, the Colt rolling slow. Hopefully not broken too bad. That Colt, the driver of the Colt, is known worldwide in drag week history. That dude makes runs and runs and runs and runs. 1861 with a 3 at 91 miles an hour for the Colt. Certainly something going away for him there. Monte Carlo and Maverick staged up side by side. The Maverick got the jump. 0:48 reaction time. Great light advantage on the start. Monte Carlo quick quickly made up the gap and passes the Maverick, headed down the National Dragster lane. The Monty goes 13:58 with a 5 at 74. The Maverick goes 15:49 with a 9 at 69 down the summit side of the racetrack. And this very, very fast orange Camaro had an aborted pass last time down the racetrack. Car is now set back up again, ready to rock and roll. We'll see if they can make a full pull all the way down through the lights. This thing is a real mover. It was on pull off to the side in the parking lot with a couple guys helping him yesterday. I'm not sure what his problem was, but we cruised by and it looked like there was a convention going on helping to get this thing getting fixed up and back on the road. Obviously, whatever it was, they did get it fixed. See if we can get a clean drag strip pass out of it before we close the lanes and start heading towards St. Louis. And the Camaro launches off with a Fury 132 in the 8th mile. He goes down through the finish line, 8:49 with a 7. At 139 miles an hour, 8:49.7, 1:39 for the Camaro, the far side of the racetrack. Heads down the summit lane. It's consistent south there, 12:43 with the 6, 106 miles an hour for the Plymouth. Getting to be crunch time, certainly crunch time now as the clock is literally running out on some competitors down there, and here comes Jeff Lutz. Lutz made a quick hit, downloaded the data, figured out what they needed to do, and I'm pretty sure they'll have a stiff tune-up in it this time. Lutz going to hop out of there and get his safety gear on and get ready to rock and roll one more time here at Indy. Sue, 12:18 with a 9:113, 15:19 with a 3 at just 61 miles an hour in the Summit Lane. Obviously problems there. And here comes Jeff Lutz. Depending on how quickly they can turn the car around, this may be the last time we see it on the racetrack in Indy. Only 45 minutes until racing ceases for the day. Jeff Lutz completes his burnout past the starting line. Lutz gets the binders put on. It's going to get it backed up. Now, remember last time we went down, the car was set up pretty soft. I guess the intention was to get the thing down the racetrack and then get back, download some data, and wick it up some. And even though we've seen those big giant runs from Tom Bailey, this thing is far from over, because you can run very hard on Monday and Tuesday and then fall out of the competition on Thursday, and you really have nothing to show for it other than some fun memories. So it behooves Lutz to get down here, make a solid pass, turn in his time slip, and keep on trucking, because you never know what's going to happen through the end of the week. And that goes for not only in Unlimited, that goes for every single category we have out here. Again, we lost some 15 competitors plus last night, so it is going to be one of those deals that happens.
Hey, it's Freiberger from Hot Rod here, reminding you to go check out all the other coverage that we've got going on all around Drag Week 2013. You want to check out Hot Rod Mag on Facebook, on Instagram. You want to look for the hashtag Drag Week 2013. And of course, you're going to want to check out hotrod.com, where we've got photo galleries, results, and news all day long. Check it out.
The first thing every car does here at Drag Week is go through tech inspection. And not only are we teching the cars to make sure they're safe to go down the drag strip, but we're making sure they're actual street cars. We want them to be legal, so we're checking for license, VIN, registration, insurance, everything a normal car has to drive down the street. And because we're drag racing, we've got classes. And our classes here are broken down by engine size, suspension modification, tire size. So right now, Keith has got a go, no-go gauge there. He's checking to make sure the back tires on this car are within the spec for the class he's going to run in. We're standing here in the pits with Todd Maschmeyer and Travis Gilpin, our two favorite nitrous racers here at Drag. We're here with Bryant Goldstone, the guy who won Modified Power Hour last year and who was all lined up to race Unlimited this year with a Javelin, except the Javelin's not here, your Chevelle's back. What happened?
We broke the engine a week before and didn't have time to really get it fixed. So.
From what I understand, parts of the Javelin are still running in Unlimited this weekend. What happened there?
Well, Tom called me on Friday and his car wouldn't make any boost. He asked if he could borrow the torque converter, which I didn't really want to because it's the only spare I have that'll fit my transmission in Mike's car, Mike Roy next door. So he borrowed it and went his quickest time ever. So I think he bought a torque converter. So
that was a hell of a gift, because he's talking about Tom Bailey, a guy who laid down the fastest pass we've ever seen at Drag Week, a 672 at about, I think, 214 miles an hour. And Tom's the leader right now. Dave Ahokas only ran a 686. Can't believe I just said only. And
12:42 with a 118 miles an hour. And I was mistaken, that was not the fourth gear car. It was a similar look. Fourth speed in that automatic.
About a half hour left.
Down a single, 1195 to 116 miles per hour. At 122 miles per hour. A couple of single hitters today. The Peroni Australian Charger made just a single pass, and of course we had that Tirana, and the Tirana has the wounded inline six-cylinder engine. I think those guys really, literally just trying to nurse and take
Until Thursday, they have parts availability. Okay, good. So the Tirana guys just got to make it live till Thursday, then they can fix what ails them and wick it up for the last day. Right now.
Travis Gilpin and Todd Mashmeyer opened up drag week with a 789 today. What was that, a 772?
Yes, sir.
Not too shabby.
Not bad considering everything again last night.
How's the track at Indy?
Great. Indy's always great.
How many hours of sleep did you get?
We got 3. We're doing pretty good.
That may be the sum total of what you got last year.
Real close to it. If we get an hour tonight, we're dead even.
All right, see you tomorrow.
Careful, Mike.
Wound up tight. It sounds good. It's when the revs come up. Fantastic. And the Chevelle goes down 11:30 with a 5 at 118 miles per hour through the finish line. And the CTS-V headed down the racetrack now. It is a quick one, 93 in the 8th mile, and the lap of luxury has air-conditioned seats in it, believe it or not. It goes 11:89 for 1:15. And to some of the guys that are going to be stuck in cars that will literally try to roast them to death, my mere mention of air-conditioned seats probably raised an ire. Somebody's shaking their fist in the pits. Maybe a no air-conditioned seats rule for 2014. We'll have to look into that. And one more time for the Grabber Blue Mustang, 13:49 with a 2 at 108 miles an hour. As we are getting ready to close things out and get a move on to St. Louis. Now, yesterday, as I mentioned, it was blazing hot, and shocking again is the same thing today. So the cooling systems will once again be...
We're here with Dave Kerwin, all the way from Ontario, Canada, in the Starsky and Hutch themed car. You don't have your leather jacket on, sir. What's going on?
It is much too hot here, and we're having a hard time acclimatizing. When we left back home in Ontario, it was 45 degrees, and we were wearing jackets and jeans.
So you're foregoing style in exchange for comfort, pretty much.
Exactly. But I did bring the leather jacket. It's actually on the floor in the back seat. Thought I'd be wearing it.
Why is the float bowl off the carburetor? I mean, other than the obvious, you're jetting it, is it fat or lean? What do we got going on?
It's just running too lean. I noticed in third gear I was running about low 14s, air fuel mixture, so I got to add some more jet to it.
And how quick have we been going?
12 O's.
12 O's. You're in daily driver. I believe 12 O's would probably get you in the 32 car bracket race.
Just gets me in. I need to step up my game. I need to run 11.8s to be sure.
Has it got 11.8s in it?
Normally it does. Normally I could run 11.7s, just different altitude, different tracks, different environment.
Well, you're still here, and that's half the battle. So, all right. Good luck. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks.
You can't blame them. Who wouldn't want to have an opportunity to have an open racetrack at Lucas Oil Raceway, one of the most famous drag strips in the world? I would take full advantage of it myself. I get out there and pound my way down the track as many times as possible before they told me I had to leave.
Yesterday, Dave Ahokas started his day off by laying down the quickest run we've ever seen at Drag Week. What was it, a 686?
Let me see, 683, yes.
683.
Yeah, and we were top dogs there for about 6 minutes until Tom Bailey came along and ran a 673 here.
I won't say he ruined your day entirely because you made it all the way to Indy, which was further than you got last year. So
well, that's true. Yeah, we made it 300 miles out of 350 last year, so we're doing better. And we also looks like we might have run on 7 cylinders partway down on our last run, and we're still in the Yeah, 670. Was it 679? What is it?
Your last run? No, it was like a
790.
Yeah,
okay.
it looked really soft on the hit. It looked like it didn't spool at all, and yeah, you almost ran an 8-second pass. So my assumption here is you're gonna fix the thing and get back out there again today.
No, that's not the correct assumption.
No.
We're hopefully going to fix it, but we're going to drive to the next track, to St.
Really?
Louis. Yes, it's more important for me to make it to the end this year. I haven't made it to the end for 3 years now, so, you know, if we fix the problem, it'll probably run good tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, the winning is important, but it's more important for me this year to make it to the end.
A lot of people lose track of that. They lose sight of the fact that if you don't get to Friday, it doesn't matter what you did today because you're not going to win. So
yeah, I'd like to at least make it and say, yeah, I ran a 680 something, you know, first day, and we did this and we did that, and at least at least we made it.
It's a good strategy. I mean, finishing drag week says to the world, you have one of the quickest street cars on the planet. You know, so it's a good deal.
Yes. That's it.
All right. Well, good luck, Dave, and hopefully we see you on Friday.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Back in the 1970s, there was actually a big riot here in St. Louis after an IHRA race. IHRA decided on their own that they were going to move a qualifying session to an earlier time of the day. And when a bunch of people poured in, it was a typically late arriving crowd, a bunch of people poured in, got to see basically one pair of cars run, and then they were told to leave because the show was over. The people that were working at the race in the tower actually got trapped inside the tower for a number of hours, and people were throwing stuff through the windows and trying to get after them, and it was...
Don't call it a comeback, but after blowing up his ring and pinion yesterday, Mike Roy just dropped a 786 here in Indy. How the hell did you do that?
It wasn't easy. Yesterday we blew it up at about 80 feet out of the hole, and we didn't have a pass in yet, so we had to fix it and get a pass in just to stay in the competition. So we got it done, I think around 1:30. We got a pass in by 2, and it was an 8:16. It wasn't really what we wanted, but it was so hot yesterday. I seen a lot of the cars were running slower, and I thought we'd just be better off to try to bring it into Indy so we could try to pick up the slack there.
It's really humid here, and I'd say the conditions are not better than they were yesterday. So how did you pick up almost 0.3 of a second? Was it tuning or the track?
It was mainly in the track. The 60 foot was better. The boost was a little bit higher today. I had one pass under my belt, so I knew the rear end seemed like it was going to be okay. I just was really worried about getting an A pass in yesterday, because if I didn't get one in, then I would have been out. So I didn't probably lean on it as hard yesterday. Kind of afraid of it, actually.
Well, I mean, with carrying as much weight as you do and breaking as much stuff as often as you do, I would not blame you if you just hit the road right now.
Yeah, definitely today we're going to take the 786, and I don't know how the competition stacks up today, but got to make it till Friday, so that's what counts.
An 86 is a good number to hit the road with. So the Super Street Small Block naturally aspirated Mustang completes a burnout, and that's a
daily driver Mustang, kind of a bone stalker over there on the left-hand side of the track. So the small block power adder car is the small block naturally aspirated car. It has been pretty fast. The tires on the engine. Rick Prospero has come back into the lane instead of the water box in the station wagon. The Mustang heads down 11:37 with an 127 miles an hour as Rick Prospero comes through to do his burnout in the Chevy Nova wagon. Comes off the starting line, the thing gets loose, he had to pedal it, and he is rolling through the 8th mile at only 70 miles an hour. That thing with that small tire on it, when it's all working right, it is a pretty thing to watch, but it can also be a handful. Like when it breaks the tires loose like that, Prospero all over the gas and stabbing and steering down there, rolls through 14:39 with one, only 52 miles an hour. Comes Kevin rolling up in the RX-7. Naturally aspirated small block jammed into the front of this thing. So Kevin just taking his time towards the pre-stage beam. Fully staged. Dr. Kevin's wife coming out of the race Camaro. I know you guys here in the Camaro. No, I wish we were here in the Camaro. The RX-7 apparently not as nice inside. 975 with a 6 at 138 miles an hour for Kevin. A great lap there. 975.6, 138 for Kevin in the RX-7. We are down to 14 minutes. 14 minutes until closing time. 14 minutes until we are done here and move on to St. Louis. Once again, just 14 minutes until we close the door and close the books on Indy and move towards St. Louis.
The staging lanes are almost closing on day 2 of Drag Week. Jeff Lutz just made his last pass, a mid-7-second run that didn't make him happy. The car looked pretty good, didn't sound great. It's not wounded, but he doesn't know why it's going as slow as it is. The important thing is it's still in one piece, which means if he can get to the end of Drag Week and the 2 guys ahead of him don't make it, he can win. Mathematically, he still has a shot. The question is, does he have the will to keep going? We're here with Dave Kerwin, all the way from Ontario. Well, let it never be said that Eddie Miller doesn't embrace technology. You went into not quite a third gear, an overdrive or something right before the finish line. What was that all about?
Yeah, we utilize the gear vendors on track, and we use it on the road too, which is great. Lets us cruise along at 72, 75 miles an hour, like 2,400 RPM with a 456 gear in the rear.
Do you even bother checking to see what kind of mileage you're getting?
Yeah, last night, almost 10 miles a gallon.
10 miles per gallon while running. You ran I'm not remembering. You just ran a 869 just now.
We just ran an 869. We ran an 871 yesterday at 152 and change. Today we just went almost 156. But our 60 foot is off by about a tenth. So we have a lot of adjusting to do. I mean, it's raw. It just makes power.
You've dropped a couple of bombs here so far. I mean, the keyboard commandos on yellowbullet.com are going to have a lot to talk about now because you've talked a lot leading up to this deal, and you're backing it up. You are doing it.
They've got nothing to talk about, but they'll make something up as they sit on the couch eating bonbons and whatever they're doing, Cheetos and...
Oh, God, they're going to love you. I can always count on you for a good quote.
That's, it probably some of it's true. I know there's a lot of racing enthusiasts and racers on Yellow Bullet and the forums, but there's a lot of guys that have gotten on in recent years that are clowns. So.
And the clowns are not here, and they're not going to finish. But it looks like you're on your way to finishing.
Yeah, I mean, it ran great last night, no problems at all, with the exception of we killed an alternator, but it was due. It's been the same alternator on there for a long time, and these cars are very rough on alternators. You can ask anyone here. Guys go through alternators, but it's been on there a couple of years, so it happens.
All right, we're at Indy. We're not quite halfway through this deal, but so far things are looking good for Eddie Miller.
So the cream school color 1956 Chevy of Joe Barry that has been part of so many drag weeks now. It's going to come through the water box one more time, get those tires wet, heat them up. Talked a little bit about it before. Barry has gone as quick as 7 seconds flat. I'm not sure if he has gone 200 in this car. If he did it 7 seconds at 200, maybe his best lap ever. He would love that right now. That would put him right in the thick of things. Last year was the second track of the event that canceled Joe Barry's trip. He had a very violent tire shake episode at Ennis, Texas, and that caused him to drop out. He broke the case of the transmission, I believe. It broke some of the glass in the car, actually cracked because of the tire shake. So a very violent situation there in Ennis, and he does not want to repeat that. They've been working to take that tire shake problem away from the car. They came off the starting line very, very soft last time, exceptionally soft. I think they're going to feed some power back into it now. You can see him making a wheelie bar adjustment, making sure those wheelie bars are even. They expect to get up on them. They want the thing to leave in a straight line and carry there. Twin turbocharged big block Chevrolet making the power for Joe Barry. There's a lot of adjusting happening there with those wheelie bars. We got a crewman down there. He's threaded, unthreaded down there, making sure he's getting stuff where he wants it. For Joe Barry, goes 7:14 at 194. 7:14 with a 4 at 194 miles an hour. The best run we've seen Joe make in some time. So Joe Barry unleashes a low 7-second pass. 7:14.7, 194 miles an hour for the big creamsicle-colored 1956 Chevy. 6 minutes until we put the guillotine on the starting line and call it over. 6 minutes until we shut this thing off and call it done. The starting line closes at 1 o'clock, which means if you're not the guy sitting on the starting line or doing a burnout ahead of the starting line, then it's over for you. So it's not, if you're in the staging lanes at 1 o'clock, you will not be making a run. At 1 p.m., it is Dunzerino. 52. Sideways action in the out there. Got about 330 pickup truck just going to bogey on down the summit side of the racetrack. No drama there. Stops the clock 12:89 with an 96 miles an hour out of the throttle as well at the finish.
Four minutes. We have 4 minutes on the official clock that we are using here. 4 minutes. Until Lucas Oil Raceway goes into the history books of Drag Week as being a track that we have visited this year and will not be looking forward to visiting.
US National is going to be a huge deal. There's going to be all kinds of special stuff going on. It is going to be a, I'm sorry, the anniversary of NHRA. NHRA's big anniversary next year. Going to be a very significant deal. 60 years. I think they're going to make just a huge deal at the US Nationals here. National Hot Rod Association's anniversary will dovetail in. I think it's going to culminate here at the US Nationals in 2014. 13:55 of the 0 at 93 miles an hour for the Mustang as the late model Charger heads to the starting line.
He wanted to put some plugs in. Not quite sure what that jargon means, but be advised it's going to be a ball pit there.
And the Challenger goes down 3 minutes, I've been informed. 3 minutes now. 3 minutes, and I see Jeff Lutz, you will run. You will run, so take your time, get your safety equipment on. You will run. Do not rush this procedure. Take your time, go through your normal starting line routine. Yeah, for the sake of safety, you're in a very fast automobile, so go through your normal routine. Do not rush anything. You will run. Yeah. If it's a minute or two after one, in the name of making sure you are safe, properly geared up and strapped in, that is fine with us. We have negotiated the extra minute in the contract. We're good. The race director says we're good. The thumbs up says we're good. So this will be the last run. Yep, okay. Yeah, Mustang has got 2 minutes to go, so. Mustang trying to set the record for the most laps in the day of the history of Lucas Oil Raceway. And Jeff Lutz is in there at 12:59, snuck her right in there. as we'll watch the Mustang head down the racetrack, down the road. Mustang goes 13:11 with a 2, best pass of the day. 13:11 with a 2 at 107, so there he goes. And here it is, folks. This is it. This is it. Consider the event. Consider today closed. No? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, I'm waiting. I'm sorry. I thought you said this was the last pass. I got you. Okay. So the Challenger will be the last car down the racetrack, guys. The Challenger will be it. If you're behind the Challenger, no bueno. And here comes Jeff Lutz. He's going to spool the turbos and get after it. 130 in the short time. Lutz all the way into it. 128 the 8th mile, and Lutz is out of it and rolling at the top end. 847 at 158 miles per hour in the 57 Chevrolet.
Wow, what a way to end the second day of drag week, man. There's always a drama. Jeff Lutz, who you just saw run, has been struggling all week long. He replaced a head gasket yesterday, another one this morning, and they're just not getting it together. He came into today number 3 in Unlimited, and I don't know what kind of a time slip he's going to hand in today or what is going to turn out to how it's going to play. But you want to stay tuned to hotrod.com because we will have results up there tonight. In fact, you want to go to hotrod.com to see all kinds of coverage. We got 330 photos up of yesterday's race. We're going to have at least that many up from today. We've got videos of all kinds of stuff. We've got the 670 pass from the 69 Camaro of Tom Bailey. You'll have a replay of that you'll be able to see at hotrod.com. Also, a replay of this live feed will be playing pretty much forever, going up later on this evening. So thanks a lot for watching the live feed. Thanks a lot to Pep Boys Speed Shop for sponsoring it, and Gear Vendors, of course, for being here. We're going to see you again tomorrow if we make it on the trip to the next track.